Hello and welcome to the Lucky Hit Podcast, episode
Hello.
90.
We already started.
Wow.
Oh, it's for zero. We're getting close.
Oh, the 90s are calling.
There
They want that bit of music back.
you go. In case you were wondering what that
It was
music
only a matter
was,
of time.
in case you were wondering what that music was, that was a song that a friend of mine made about 2004 for a game that I was making. I'll go into this stuff a bit later.
That was
when we talk
good.
about what we've been playing, but yeah, that was by a friend of mine called Instant Sonic.
Nice.
Yeah, he's still around the internet.
Oh,
and stuff,
Instant
so-
Sonic. I talked
Yeah,
to
yeah.
that guy. Nice
Yeah,
guy.
Yeah, he's great.
That was a really nice piece of music.
Long-time friends with him. He used to
Didn't know he made music.
Yeah, he dabbled in music back then. I'm not sure if he does now, but yeah, he also did a bit of voice acting for the game I'll be talking about later as well. But yeah, welcome.
cool.
It is the 28th of September 2020, and I'm the Gagaman.
I'm Cherry Terrier.
Murry Curry.
I'm ShelvedGamer.
I'm Hunk Thunder.
And I'm Big Elk. And here's a spoiler alert. I've been playing PSO 2. But you didn't see that one coming.
What a twist.
Really didn't.
There's a twist. I've been playing Pokemon.
Are you going?
I'll be
round
playing
the
Animal
twist?
Crossing.
Oh no.
And ShelvedGamer and Hunk Thunder play Animal Crossing New Horizons every week without fail.
I don't.
Well, yeah,
I was
what?
about to say,
Love the game.
Stop playing. Here's a twist.
Oh,
Here's a
Oh, I
twist.
thought
I am playing
I thought-
Morrowind.
Wow. Okay. That is a twist.
really old.
did you finally finish up Yakuza games?
I wouldn't say I'm finished with them, but I'm taking a break from open world games at the moment. I'm taking a break from a lot of stressful games.
We all need a break once in a while.
Right, so
Yeah.
quick little update about the channel. Spelunky 2's out tomorrow on Steam. So
Yeah.
I definitely intend to do a day one stream for that. It'll be Spelunky 2 Hell with it. So that'll be the first episode, I guess. I think it's nice that the previous series wrapped up at 20 episodes, even though I didn't actually do a Hell run, but it's fine because I would.
You got
like
there a
to-
few times.
I got to Hell once during the streams, but I do intend to hop back to Spelunky 1 occasionally for the series as well. Plus, there's actually been a nice little bit of news involving Spelunky 2. One of the reasons they've delayed the online co-op for the Steam version is they're actually going to make it cross-play with the PS4
Hey.
version. So I'll definitely be taking advantage of that, and maybe we could get some of us playing that co-op. For
Yeah.
some of the streams, I think that would be fantastic. So,
I'll have to grab PSN, but I'll
That's a
definitely
fine
give it a go.
delay.
oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Probably be cheaper for you to just buy Spelunky 2 again.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe,
I
maybe.
think you're absolutely correct, actually. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, I'll do that.
Fair enough. Either
Yeah,
way,
the PSN
yeah.
is expensive.
The Spelunky 2 stream series will definitely be less. There'll be less pressure because there's no deadline for anything. So it would just be me playing the game and discovering stuff every week, and hopefully not getting burnt out on it. Because I know you've had a bit of that, haven't you?
All I can say is don't look up what you have to do this game's version of the Hell Run, because not only is that spoilery, but it also made you cry. Like, it just made me think, well, I can't do that. And I will, quite literally, die trying.
When you go to hell, they'll make you attempt that. They'll make you attempt that hell run till the end of eternity.
Yeah, that is hell, yeah, real hell.
The hell is the journey on the way.
But yeah,
The journey was all about the friends we made along the way.
so more on that in a minute, I think.
Yeah, I guess we could just jump straight into that if you want, because in terms of what else we've got coming up on the channel, I think it's we've got some more. Are you still considering doing more Fun Fantasy this week, or are you considering grinding first?
I'm umming and ahhing about whether we're going to carry that series on, because I think what was probably way too apparent was how I was done with it.
Yeah, it was getting a bit. I don't know.
I was losing my crap. Yeah, so obviously I haven't got a huge amount of time to think about it, but yeah, we'll either do some grinding before we off camera, just repeating the levels that we've already done.
Yeah, it'd be nice to level up some of those characters, so next time you come into it, it's a bit smoother.
Yeah, you see, this is the thing. I've only discovered this while playing it this time round. Because when I played it before, I think I played a couple of characters in the past of Crystal Chronicles on the GameCube. And I always did the thing that I think the game expects you to do, which is to have one character, if you're playing single player anyway, one guy who goes out and does all of the actual fighting and the leveling up, so to speak. And yeah, with both our files, where I've been doing the opposite. I've been working on on my personal file. I've been working on 4 characters at once, and that's been hell. Because if you progress too fast, or go through the actual story, you get to the last 3 or 4 areas. It's just a nightmare if you haven't had that pacing of doing the early levels and picking up the extra stats and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because Chronicles has that kind of strange way of leveling up where apart from equipment, there's no levels or anything. It's all to do with these artifacts that you pick up, and they give you like a stat boost. There's only really 3 stats. It's quite a simplified sort of action RPG.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's paced in such a way where if you're playing on your own, it's not, you don't really have to go back and repeat areas that much. It's quite sort of well paced in that way. But yeah, we've done 3 episodes of the stream now, and you can see that even working with just 2 people, it's almost impossible in places. Like not last night on the Friday night stream, we had to skip a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Like we had to run past some enemies, and and then I was just, the enthusiasm wasn't high at the start. And I just don't know if that was entertaining viewing.
In a sense.
In one way it is, yeah. Depends what you're into. So yeah, I've not really been playing too much of that this week. I've been playing that, and as we just mentioned earlier, I've been playing more Spelunky 2, but I kind of burned myself out on it. Not so much on I don't want to play it, because I could easily just boot it up now and play. Just more on a sort of mental anguish level.
Yeah. That to look forward to.
I feel like there's a lot more BS deaths in this game.
Yeah.
Like with Spelunky 1, there's some humorous, you get in a sort of combo when you just get
definitely, yeah,
obliterated, and you just think, oh, that's hilarious, or
exactly,
no.
Yeah.
Spelunky 2 starts out like that. It's like, oh god, look at that. Ooh. And then by the end of it, I was just shouting, and I don't really get that angry with 1. With 2, I get really frustrated, and it's for a few reasons. 1, abundance of traps this time. They put too many on the level.
Oh dear.
In certain areas, they do a really good job of actually camouflaging the traps. Like, you really cannot see them sometimes.
Oh, Jesus.
So that's not fair. And there's too many enemies. And not only that, but even in the first area, there are 2 enemy types, which I'm not going to say, but they're irritating as hell. Like, they're just so cheap. And that's like the first area as well. So, that whole thing when you get stuck in area 1 hell, that's happened to be days upon days, and even on a few of the streams I've been doing. So yeah, got really frustrated with it, so I decided to take a little bit of a break from not only that, but I've been playing a lot of just sort of this whole year I've been playing sort of stressful hard games or big long grinds like the Yakuza Remastered Collection. I love that series, but the way I play games, I'm one of those sort of what do you call them? Boring old farts. Yeah. I'm one of those people. Yeah, I'm a completionist who ruins games for myself. I'm not proud. It's not a brag. So trust me, it's not a brag. It's more of a confession.
I can't put it down until it's 100%. Yeah, until I have filled in. Yeah, I get
exactly, and I have to sort of obsess over even the most mundane mini game because I'm not, maxing it out. I'm really a bit of a loser at times. So,
it's like me with the Ratchet and Clank games, so I know how you feel.
So I decided I wanted to play something that's a bit more chilled out. My go-to game for that isn't one that most people would think is a chill game. It's Morrowind, but the reason it is because I've played it so much. I've gotten to the point where I can just play that almost half a week.
Just like an automatic.
Yeah, and also I just sort of enjoy the whole sort of being in that world sort of thing. So I've been playing a little bit of that, but I've had my eye on House Flipper on Steam for a while.
Oh, that game's fun.
Yes, I've seen many
House
videos
Flipper?
of people playing this. Yeah.
It's quite fun. It's just, I was looking up reviews, and straight away people were saying exactly what I wanted to hear. They just said, "Oh, it's very relaxing and chilled out." I was like, "Yep." So I grabbed that, and it is just a really laid back, fun little game. It does what it says. It's a simulation, and you just buy up these really horrible old houses. Like the game does a good job of making these places look disgusting. Like there's literally just crap on the walls and cockroaches running around, and you go in, you clean them up. It's like Homes Under the Hammer, really. you buy
That's what
these
that game essentially is, isn't it? From what I've seen.
exactly.
I think
You buy these crap holes.
Huh?
You make them look nice.
What's that one?
It's called House Flipper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's really good.
I think I've seen a screenshot of that, and I thought the same thing. Like, oh god, this is Homes Under the Hammer, the video game.
Yeah. It really is, and it's just really chill. I've got quite into it actually, and
yeah, sorry.
just
a quick NB to Elk. Homes Under the Hammer is this program that's always on TV. It's always on in the mornings where people buy
when I've done the
houses,
school run,
done them up, and sell them, and it's a matter of whether not other people buy them. Oh god, and it's got that. Theme tune.
That's entertainment, apparently.
That theme tune that sounds like it's from Mario Brothers 3.
Every time I get back in from the school run, that's what I hear. I open the front door.
With those with the weird after effects of the people on the money morphing slightly. It creeps me out. I don't know why, but it spooks me out the way their faces just slightly move. I don't know why, but that always creep me out.
Yeah.
Because I always leave the TV on BBC One, so the news is on, and it's always it's all corona, you're gonna die, and then we go off, do the school run. And as soon as my key goes in the door, I come back and I just say do.
Yeah.
Every
It's
time.
the same when before I used to go work.
It really makes me laugh as well, because you always see them walking around in these horrible, decrepit old places with beer. There was one of them where he was nearly dying because there was no floor and he had to step on these little flimsy beams.
He fell through a big hole.
Yeah, it was like these wooden beams with a huge drop, and he was going,
Jesus.
"There's a lot of potential." I was thinking, what?
There's lots of character.
Potential for what? Total wipeout. Fill it with water and away you go.
Make sure the water's poisonous.
It's one of those. Well, it will be. Trust me, with the state of these places. And excuse me. It's one of those. It's weird. It's not the sort of thing you'd think would be a relaxing sort of thing. Go into this horrible place and do it up. But it's a simulation that's not too heavy on the simulation side. So you think, these jobs are really quick. In only a way a game would do.
Yeah.
So to plaster a wall, you literally you buy things and they can instantly be plonked down on the floor, and then you can just click on the plaster bucket and then click on the wall, and the guy will just go and do it really quickly. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
One
but it's,
little test to know if this is a true chill out game. Do things go when you?
Yeah, pretty much, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be one of those kind of games unless it makes those noises.
Yeah, it does have little noises very similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like those car mechanic simulator and PC building simulator kind of thing, where it's leisurely kind of game. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, because you install things and do electronics, but it's all pretty much just you hover the mouse over the bit that it wants you to, and then hold click, and it will sort of do the job. It will screw the stuff in for you and all that kind of stuff. So it's very if you're not really into games where you're just, it's kind of how do I put it, you're just sort of decorating stuff, and you even go to the point where you're just buying furniture and stuff. So if you're not into that kind of stuff, then you're not really going to enjoy this. But I really recommend it for a sort of how do I put this, a come down game. You know what I mean? It's when you've just played something really stressful like Spelunky 2, and you need to unwind because you've really thought that last run was absolute crap. Should not have died that way. Then And yeah, it's really fun. And one of the things I'm gonna move on real quick because this is me done now. But one thing that really made me laugh was one of the last houses you could buy is called the Alone Home, and it is the house from Home Alone.
What?
And it's a perfect replica, and it's got all of the it's got all the aftermath of all the traps.
Really?
So you walk in the front door. Seriously, like look it up on YouTube or something. It was so funny. I opened up the front door.
You sold me on this game with that alone. That's awesome.
You buy it.
Yeah,
and
that's really cool.
Usually you had to completely renovate these houses, but all I had to do was clean up marbles on the floor and cars and stuff. And honestly, the exact replica, the attention to detail was actually crazy because like you go to the right, and there's the that sort of dining room where I forgot Marv, wasn't it? Marv, he got tarred and feathered. Do you remember that bit?
Yeah.
So I had to clean up all the tar and all the feathers and pick up the lamp that was knocked over.
Is this like a licensed thing, or have they just sort of like?
No, they just. I think they just. Yeah, I think they just got away.
Yeah, like tribute. Yeah.
It was called the Alone Home.
Subtle Alone Home.
I had to go in the basement and clean up all the stuff on the stairs and take the big nail out and all that kind of stuff.
It's going to be followed up with the Hoven Beat House.
And yeah, it was really funny, that was, because normally you have to completely redo it, but this time all I had to do was clean up the mess and then just resell it for silly money. And I sold it to, what was it, Dolan Tusk, which is just Donald Trump.
A cross between Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Yeah, I think so.
They had a bad love baby.
Oh dear.
So yeah, it's full of that kind of silly humour in it as well. So I really recommend it. It's usually quite cheap. I mean, I grabbed it when it was on, so I think it was only 25% off. But it's usually under like $20 or whatever. And yeah, just seriously give it a go if you're into something as a relaxed game, But yeah, I really recommend it. Had a lot of fun with it. And I'm going to get back on Spelunky too, but it is bullshit.
Well, I'll be joining you tomorrow, so we'll see how that all goes. Maybe playing co-op might help a little, I don't know.
Well, let me know.
Worse. First game makes it worse.
Let me know if you still wanted me to be on Discord while you play it, or would you rather enjoy it on your own at first?
Yeah,
it's
probably,
cool either way.
Probably on my own for the first one, and then when we start doing like co-op stuff, jump on Discord. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. I'll be there on the stream anyway, laughing away. I just want to know if your reactions are going to to some of the stuff, like even early on, is going to be the same as mine.
Yeah, we need face cam.
There will be face cam. Don't worry.
Excellent.
I guess,
that was me. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll go next if that's cool, because I haven't actually really been playing that much because I've been drawing and working and other bits and bobs. But I finally beat Columns 2. I actually got all every single one of the 70 levels or whatever it was.
Your favorite Sega game ever.
Oh yeah. Actually, I've kind of turned around on it. I feel like 2 podcasts ago was just me being angry. But do you want to know what happens when you beat level 70?
What happens?
It starts level 71.
So it's just
so it's Dr. Mario all over again.
Somehow I didn't expect that. Wait, did you say level 71?
71, yeah. It just continues. Obviously it doesn't contribute to any kind of unlockable stuff. It just keeps going forever, I presume, up to probably level 99 or whatever. But yeah, the levels are actually a lot easier from level 71 as well for some reason. It's like it just resets back to 1 kind of.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, there's no credits, there's no celebration thing. You beat all the levels or anything like that. But you do unlock the Angel from Columns as the last Sega gal, whatever you want.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
The one who drops the gems on the title screen.
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
The Toga girl, I used to call it.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember seeing all these girls before. Actually, I didn't beat all those levels in Columns 2, not yet anyway. But
yeah,
I did see them in a video.
Yeah,
I'm worried about getting it now.
the way I feel is like the first 15 hours of that game, especially that. I would say if you're going to buy it, just avoid level 17 for a while because that is still the hardest level of all 70. It makes no sense why that level is so much harder. It just is. Well, I don't even understand why.
Well, it even took me quite some time to get it out of the way.
You were just ploughing away at it for about 3 hours before you got it. And I must have put as much, if not more, time into it as well. It's just that one level is just, I don't even know why, because they're all pretty similar. And I think there was a couple other levels, I think it was 52 and 62 took me a little while, but most levels I got done semi-quickly. So I was quite happy with that. I have actually been playing it beyond getting all those 70 levels done as well, because there's this infinite duels mode, which I've been trying to climb up the online rankings for, which is essentially an endless version of flash columns, where you get the little flash piece come up, and when you hit the flash piece, all of that colour disappears, but every so many seconds or whatever, another row will build up. So it'll just keep climbing over time, and you're just trying to get all the flash pieces and clear the board as much as you can for as long as you can.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, that's actually really fun. I think that's probably my favourite mode in it, actually. Especially when you get a massive combo because of all the colour being cleared in one go. That's always quite fun. And sometimes, because the new row of pieces appears from the bottom, sometimes they'll actually make little combos just from appearing, because it will just make rows of 3 and it will just suddenly set some stuff off for you.
Nice.
Cool. I think I managed to get into the top 200 so far in the online rankings for that. So I'm just sort of plowing away at that. I've been playing a little bit more of that Raining Blobs as well last night. There's a few achievements in that where it's you play the game with 8 players, and it's I'm not going to be able to do that anytime soon. But it does actually count CPU players. So I just had a game of, I think it was a total of 16 players on the screen at the same time, and I've just got this. I was playing it in handheld mode as well, and I've just got this tiny little window in the corner. That's my game, and then all the CPU players just going away for ages. And if you end up losing, the game doesn't end until the CPU wins. All your CPU team loses, but I had them on hardest difficulty so I could get the achievement, so they were basically going forever and I just had to quit. I mean, I got the achievement, so I didn't need to sit and watch it, but I could have sat. You could literally just leave it running for probably hours and it would just be playing forever. But yeah, that game is absolutely brilliant, by the way. If you want another columns PoPo style game on your Switch for quite cheap, I'd say that one comes highly recommended. I actually hope the developers of PoPo have tried that game out and maybe get some ideas from it, because there's a few things that game does that I really wish the actual PoPo games did. So yeah, I was quite impressed with that game still. Otherwise, I have been dabbling about with some of my old fan games that I developed about 15 to 20 years ago. Yeah, I've just been for some reason I was going through some nostalgia for some of that stuff recently, some of the games that I tried to make in both these programs called Click and Create and Multimedia Fusion, and I've basically had to find on old CDs these old versions of these programs just so I can try and open these files, because the thing with these programs is a lot of the games I made they used extensions, things that, for example, would let you use module track music in the in your game, or stream MP3s without having to cut them up per level and stuff like that. And yeah, just trying to get all those extensions to work, and it's been very fiddly just trying to get these games running again. But I've managed to get them running within the creation software, and I've actually been sort of poking around to see if I remember how this stuff even works. Just barely. Yeah, there's quite a few weird little games that I made. There was a Tenchi Muyo platformer with the little rabbit cat thing that I tried to make. There was this Lupin the Third game where you collect rice balls and there's all this electric everywhere you have to avoid. That one didn't get very far. I literally made 2 levels. There it is. I
remember you streaming some of the Sonic ones before.
I did, yeah.
We
did a Let's Play of the one game I did finish as well, that Sonic Chidoku.
That was it.
Yeah, and there was like a demo for the sequel in there as well. But yeah, I was experimenting with all kinds of strange little games. There's like a game in there that actually uses sort of like screenshotted animation from Naruto, and it's a game where you have to eat ramen. That's kind of it. And like, if you lose, he's like on the toilet. I don't know. This tells you what era this was. This was literally when Naruto debuted in like 2003 or whenever it was.
Really
you can also tell with the type of humor you were going for.
I mean, like the scene with him on the toilet. I think that was actually from an episode, because it is straight up just using like animation from an episode. It's like an FMV game. It's really weird. Yeah, there's all kinds of weird little games. My most ambitious two amongst them was I was doing like a Sonic point-and-click adventure at one point called Sonic Switch, and then there was a shmup that started as an SD Gundam game, and then it evolved into a game that was based on my webcomic at the time, which was called Manga Gaga. So it was literally a shmup starring all my mates. It just had like people I knew from the internet that were also in the webcomic, because the webcomic was just essentially people I knew online being like, "Oh, put me in your webcomic. We can put a load of in-jokes in it." It was just a bunch of in-jokes basically, and a bunch of weird animation and like game references and stuff. It was all kind of dumb, but you know, I was like, what, 15? I don't know. But yeah, the game was essentially like a horizontal shooter. It had loads of in-jokes to things that nobody would even get. In fact, some of the in-jokes, I don't even remember the context of them at this point. But that song that I was playing at the start of the podcast was a song that was made for the title screen for that game. And there's a few other songs that were made for it. And I've just been waxing nostalgic about all these games that I never got around to finishing, that I'll be like, oh, I wish I finished them. or even made more than just a couple levels, because I think my biggest problem was just motivation, or just like actually making more than a couple levels. But yeah, so that's mainly what I've been playing, really.
Lovely.
Lovely levels. Not many levels, but they were lovely levels.
That's all that matters.
Oh, who wants to go next?
I can go next. As usual, Animal Crossing, but we mentioned that earlier. But I'm still hung on Among Us.
Oh yes. I still need to try this, because the more I see little clips of it, it's like, I can totally see why this is kicked off.
Yeah, maybe all of
you
us
said Among Us, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I still keep thinking of The Last of Us when I hear that.
Yeah. Very different kind of game.
It's just a fun game. I know that we got some news on it coming up later.
Oh yes.
But it's just, I'm not saying you get to know your friends a bit more than after murdering them. But it's just a fun social game, whether it be with strangers or with friends. It kind of does kill it if you're playing on Discord.
I guess that's because
you could just say who's.
You have to be very quiet, didn't you?
Yeah.
You'd have to be quite hush hush about what's going on. Be like, oh, I'm the imposter.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to say what you're doing. Yeah, I can imagine that's like streaming this game must be actually kind of challenging.
Yeah, you'd have like an honor code about it, wouldn't you?
Yes, I think that's probably how you have to go about it.
But the ironic thing is, because people are playing it, because people are streaming it, so.
Yeah, I think that's why it's really kicked off. I mean, we'll go into this a bit later, but the game actually has been out for a few years. I'm not really sure how it just suddenly kicked off, but yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it's not even a new game. But yeah, we'll go into, like, there's a little bit of news a bit later.
Other than that, still plugging away at Super Mario 3D All-Stars.
Oh, nice.
I'm sort of flipping backwards and forth between 64 and Sunshine.
Nice.
That's quite a tonal shift.
Yeah.
Going back and forth.
Shift.
Yeah, I still haven't touched Galaxy yet, and I'm really tempted to play it. But then again,
if I grabbed that game, now I'd probably just jump immediately into Galaxy because I really want to play that game again. I could on the Wii, but I really want to see it in HD.
I really like Galaxy.
Yeah, and
one of the few that I actually 100% did that one. That and Odyssey.
Nice.
Yeah, those are the only two. I'll tell a lie. World.
Yeah. Cool. I remember Beast World. Yeah, ages and ages ago. As regular viewers might have noticed, I wasn't on Snow's Thunder. Yeah, if I can say it properly. Snow's Thunder this week. Just a few issues here and there. But yeah, I haven't really had the time to play the new SNES games on the Switch, so I'll probably will give it a go. What's that, ShelvedGamer?
There's some good ones on there, yeah.
DKC 2. Yeah, I did pop in and out of the stream the other night and did see Peacekeepers, and I thought that's a bit.
Oh, that was something, wasn't it?
That was.
I have to admit, I forgot to mention that the games we've been playing, but yeah, I did end up playing more of that because,
of course,
even like bad scrolling beat 'em ups, I kind of get fun out of, and this is definitely one of those.
Feeling you guys would like that game.
But, oh my god,
I had
the
a
music.
feeling.
There was literally like 2 songs in this whole game. It's like
I wouldn't say they liked it.
I tried to warn you the music was bad.
Yeah, but I didn't want it to just be noise, and that's the full experience. You can't play that game and not have that horrendous music that just plays throughout every single level.
Sure you can. They give you the option to turn it off for a reason.
Yeah, but maybe they should have just put good music in it. Then they wouldn't have to turn the music off. But as I say, that's the experience. If you're going to play this kind of super mediocre scrolling beat 'em up, you may as well have terrible music to go with it because it's appropriate.
Of course, yeah.
I was about to say that it would just be people are just going to call it like the next Final Fight or the next.
I feel like all these scrolling beat 'em ups that they have put on the SNES app is just them being like, well, Capcom's not letting us put Final Fight, so we'll just put anything else.
Yeah,
because there's still no Final Fight. I'm really hoping they put 2 and 3 on there, but it doesn't seem like it's
2 and 3 would be cool
anytime soon. I'm not bothered about the first one because obviously it's a reduced port. But a whole character mission, and then you have to buy a whole separate game just to get the other character.
That'll probably
I'm really hoping they put Mighty Final Fight on the NES one.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Because I've never played that one.
That game's excellent. Yeah, I played that on. I think I played that on an emulator once. Yeah, that game's great.
That's probably going to be the only way you play it because of its price.
That's true.
Yeah,
either that or you get the version on the Capcom collection for Game Boy Advance.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, that's. But yeah, it would be nice if Final Fight Guy was on like the SP series of games on the SNES app on the Switch.
Yeah,
that'd be alright. That'd be good.
But the thing with those 2 games is like the first version of Final Fight was missing Guy, so they released Final Fight Guy, which added Guy, but then they took Cody out. So it's like,
oh, for God's sake!
You have to if you want to play the full arcade game, you have to own 2 copies of the same bloody game.
And still not 2-player.
Yeah.
Was there really 2? Was there really that much of a memory issue back then?
I don't think it was. I think they were just. It's
just lazy.
Yeah.
It was like a
cartridge.
I mean, like, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm going to play a version of Final Fight, I still really like the Mega CD one, but.
That was the best one you could get, I think, at the time.
At the time, yeah, for sure, because it had all the characters and it had that really fun, arranged soundtrack as well. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it was certainly better than the SNES one in some ways.
Well, we got the arcade version on the Capcom Beat 'em Up collection anyway, which I have.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Anything else you've been playing, Hunk?
I'm trying to think.
Hunky boy.
Yeah, that's pretty much me for this week.
Oh, fair enough.
I probably will be playing a bit more Yakuza this week because I've got some time off of work. So
don't do it.
I don't want to. I've got.
It'll suck you in.
Exactly. That's the
I
point.
really want to get back to that game myself, but I'm too busy playing PSO2.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame there was no announcement like it was rumored.
Yeah.
But at least there was that news of the movie, but I think that's going to be news later, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. No, there's not really much to say, but
yeah, other than that. Later, yeah. So I ruined that. Sorry.
People. Yeah, that's me for this week.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were talking about PSO2, Elk, so maybe we can segue into you. What you've been playing.
I guess I might as well. Yeah, well, it's not the only game I've been playing this week, but yeah, I've been playing a lot more PSO2. Of course, since I'm done with the story and episode 5 doesn't premiere until Wednesday, I've just been doing a couple more story missions, not story missions, other missions to to try and increase my standing on the mission pass to get more items. And I forgot to mention this last week, but there's a Sakura Wars event going on in PSO2 as of the middle of September. Yeah, I did share a screenshot in the Lucky Hit Discord once, which included part of the Sakura Wars scenery. So they changed up the shopping area and the gate area with some Sakura trees and some Sakura Wars mechs. And they replaced the music with a bunch of vocal themes from the Sakura Wars games. And I think it's all themes from the older games because it sounds like 90s anime themes. No,
that's the one song that they always used.
I don't think so, but they have one that goes da 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 da.
That sounds like exactly what I just did.
Content idea.
Oh, was it? Oh, well, your tone.
No, that's House Flipper.
No.
Oh, bollocks.
No,
yeah.
that sounds like the Super Mario Brothers theme.
Way to get those two confused.
Yeah, well, they played a bunch of songs, and it was my. This is the first time I'd actually heard those songs, but I think they're all adorable.
Just want to pinch their cheeks.
So besides all that, there's also a new Sakura Wars scratch ticket in the cash shop. Okay. So you can earn a bunch of costumes, emotes, and weapon camos from the Sakura Wars series, including the newest game on the PlayStation 4. I haven't bought any of them yet, though. But I did discover something called the personal shop in the game, which is
personal people.
This sounds a bit ominous.
Yeah, you sell your you sell your personal unmentionables in there at a high price, and other players can buy them. In reality, though, you sell a bunch of items that you earned in the game. You can also sell cash shop items in there too. So a lot of them are expensive, but there's some that are incredibly cheap actually. Like I found the Sonic the Hedgehog suit from that $50 Sonic the Hedgehog pack for like less than 5,000 meseta in the personal shop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not to mention a bunch of stuff from the fun scratch tickets that have been available the past few months. So a couple of stuff from the summer events, for example. So I bought a couple of things that I wasn't able to get the first time around.
Is this essentially a second-hand shop for stuff that, like, event items?
Yep. Yeah, it's a second-hand shop. It doesn't have to just be event items that you can sell. You can sell anything.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of stuff that you can get there.
Just like in the,
of course,
just like in the original game.
Burgers and Coke.
The original PSO had that too.
The flashlights, but yeah, and the secrets.
Oh yeah.
In Fantasy Star one.
Yeah.
Oh, the original.
Yes.
Not the original online game.
Yeah.
The Master System game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Burgers and cola.
Which I recently finished.
Yay.
Thanks to the Sega Ages version.
Ah, cool.
Which
I need to get back to that one. I got stuck in the dungeon in Motavia, and I don't know where to go or what to do. But anyway, yeah. But back, but back to PSO2. There's all kinds of missions that I'm starting to get into. Stuff that was introduced a while ago that I haven't really bothered to learn, just because there's so much in the game, and it takes a while to learn all of it.
Oh god, yeah.
But
that's the problem with jumping into an online game after it's been out for so many years. You're like, what is going on?
There's 10 years worth of content. Keep up.
Yeah. And it's all being bombarded at you as well. You're like,
oh, it's not 10 years of content yet. It's more like 5 years by now.
That's still
rolling it out, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to finish rolling it out by around spring next year, or by the end of this year, actually.
Okay.
So right now, I think there's 8 episodes of the game in Japan. As of Wednesday, we'll only be up to episode 5. I guess they didn't want to start you off with too much.
Yeah.
Plus, they have to localize the whole thing.
Yeah, it makes more sense to just slowly roll it out than just chuck it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but back to the mission types. There's one thing called extreme quests, which are you're not going to be able to do any extreme quests until you're at least level 60. They're super hard. And every day when you log in, or at least every day during the particular event that's going on right now, you get one extreme pass a day. You can save them up, but you need one of those in order to go on an extreme quest. And you can only do one every 22 hours.
Oh.
When you do an extreme quest, it sends you through a gauntlet of mostly boss enemies that you have to beat one by one. Usually you also have to follow a certain order, like don't take damage for a certain amount of time, or beat these enemies with a frontal attack, beat them in a certain amount of time, stuff like that. And you get super rare items along the way, but you can't take all of them with you. So after each stage, you pick the ones that you want to take. And if you finish all of the rooms, you get to keep all the items that you won. And there's some extreme quests you can take on with friends, and one extremely hard one you can only do by yourself. The last one I tried was that one that you can only do by yourself, and I couldn't beat it. I lost at the second room.
Oh, jeez.
And there's also bonus quests, which were introduced in episode 4. So you get keys for bonus quests all the time. Usually you get silver keys for passing certain quests, or sometimes it's a login bonus. And it takes you to a little bite-sized enemy gauntlet in Tokyo, the Tokyo level, where it takes about maybe a minute to beat all the enemies that they throw at you, but you're guaranteed a bunch of rare items at the end, as well as some special crystals that you can spend in one of the shops for some more exclusive items. But when you get the keys, they expire on a certain day, so you have to be sure to use them before that date, or the key is useless.
Oh, good. Huh.
Yeah, and there's other keys that you get that are less common. There's a golden Tokyo key, which has a bit of a harder level attached to it, but you get even more items from it.
You literally get the key to the city.
I guess you could think of it like that. Except it doesn't go as long as any of the normal exploration missions that take place in Tokyo, or any other area in the game for that matter. And I'm trying to remember if there's another type of special quest that I might have forgotten about.
It's fine.
Nope, I guess that's it. I also got a premium set, so I'm able to access some premium features now, like having a bigger personal room to decorate. So I got a bunch of items to decorate a room with, but when you don't have the premium set, you can only put a handful of items in your room. They don't let you put any more, even if you do have the space. So now I finally get to do something with all of that.
I hate that in ESO. I've got a couple of the properties now, but it's got a silly limit on how much you can put on because it's I'm not a subscriber. Like paying the subscription fee. Never mind the fact I paid full price for the base game, the version with all the DLC, and the special edition borrowing. No, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
Microsoft, do something about this.
We'll put even more
You hold
in.
the reins now.
This is why I'm so glad that PSO2 is still free to play, and that new Genesis will be free to play as well. Besides that, though, you can also access stuff like item trading. So yeah, item trading turns out that really is locked behind a premium access.
Bugger.
Yeah,
So there is
and then
a subscription of some kind. Then.
Yep.
Yeah.
And on top of that, there's other features that just make grinding a lot easier. So the way it works is
free to play to start with. That's fair enough. But if you're
it's
full
really
price, like to buy in the shop on a disc, then that's not as good.
Yeah, exactly. The way it works is you have to buy enough Arcs Cash to buy a premium set in the Arcs Cash shop in the game. And there's two sets. There's one that lasts 30 days and one that lasts 90 days. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also another event going on right now where they're encouraging people to start enhancing their items and their weapons, where by doing so a certain amount of times before the 30th on Wednesday, you get some more special items, and one of them is actually a Dreamcast mask.
Oh, cute.
So you just put it on and your head becomes a Sega Dreamcast.
That's what I've always wanted.
And you just reset constantly.
I guess.
That's the only way you talk now. You just go.
Sound what the sound of Amiga.
Oh no, that was a Dreamcast.
That would be
Oh, yeah,
hilarious
that as
if it did that. That would be hilarious, especially if you had a mag with the Dreamcast Evolution device, and every time it does a mag action, it makes that horrible grinding noise. That'd be awesome.
Kind of like the Dreamcast, that ages car.
The Dreamcast car from
Transforms.
Sonic and All Stars Racing
It actually
Transformed.
makes all of those sounds. I love it. Like if you hit a wall, it does go.
Yeah, I love that. Of course, it also makes the Master System boot up sound when it transforms.
Yeah,
Which is weird, but okay.
yeah. That's the coolest.
And
that's probably one of the coolest unlockables in a game ever.
Yep.
It's such a pain in the ass to actually unlock.
and speaking of Dreamcast, I still can't play my Dreamcast, but I recently revisited a couple more games from the GameCube.
Oh, cool.
Because after I played Capcom vs. SNK 2 a few weeks ago, I kind of felt the urge to revisit games from that particular console generation, because I don't revisit that generation as often as I'd like to. So I didn't play Super Mario Sunshine, even though that game's kind of in vogue right now, and I still have it. What did I play? I played Sonic Heroes again on the GameCube for a little while. Starting off with Team Rose, just because I know that team starts you off with a forced tutorial, and it's the easiest.
Yeah, that's the easiest.
Yeah, so I figured I may as well just get that game out of the way real quick. I also played Super Smash Bros. Melee again, which is honestly really difficult because there's so much to that game that to Smash Brothers that I'm so used to from the newer games that aren't available in Melee. So, like, for example, you can't grab items in the air, and you can't grab them while dashing, so you have to make a complete stop and then pick them up.
Yeah,
and then not to mention,
I haven't played Melee in years, but I could imagine it can be kind of tricky to get back to if you're so used to the newer games.
Yeah. Also, the C-stick doesn't activate smash attacks. Instead, it controls the camera, which I can't imagine why anyone would want to mess with the camera in Smash Brothers. But for those who don't know, you could flick the C-stick in one direction to instantly go into a smash attack, starting with Brawl. And one of the tricks that...
I thought that was always a thing.
Yeah, I thought that was always a thing too, but apparently not. And one trick that a lot of people used since Brawl was that if you run up to someone, and then flick up, you go straight into an up smash attack.
Yeah.
So you don't have to stop to do an up smash.
Yeah.
But you can't do that in Melee, apparently.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I still really love that. What's it? The classic mode where you go through all like the Mario levels and you go through that Zelda area and all that stuff. Still love that.
That's the
mode.
adventure mode.
That's it. Yeah, I love that mode.
Yeah, I love that mode too. I really did miss it. And then I tried to play Wario World, but that game's not working for some reason. I don't know if something's wrong with the disc or what.
It's really underrated.
I remember it being so much fun. I came close to beating it, but I think
same
I
here.
might have gotten distracted by something else just before I got to the end of the game at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I ever did it either, but it was just really fun, like, just beat the crap out of all these enemies and just do suplexes and these weird wrestling moves and stuff.
Yep. Not to mention it was 60 frames per second, so it ran so silky smooth.
It was developed by Treasure, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was a Treasure developed game. And they don't even advertise that on the box for some reason.
Nah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of games that Nintendo published of their own IPs that were by other people back then, so...
Yeah.
They were doing a lot of that.
I guess so. But like even on F-Zero GX, speaking of, I played that game as well. They show right on the box that Sega developed that game.
Yeah, I think they were quite proud of that. That's why.
And
yeah, there was
and they should have been
because it was as well.
Yeah, and speaking of the arcade version, I did actually play the arcade game at a local convention 2 years ago, actually.
Oh, cool.
So I managed to. So I did actually bring a GameCube memory card to unlock some of the arcade exclusive racers and racetracks.
I didn't think to do that because I didn't know the game was going to be where I saw it. So obviously I didn't have one with me, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect to see the arcade game either, but this was a 3-day convention I was at, and the game was there at all.
Yeah.
The game was there all weekend, so after I saw it on the first day, I was like, okay, I gotta find my GameCube memory card. But unfortunately, I lost all my GameCube memory cards. So
really?
I had none of my save data. I couldn't find any of them. I had to get a third-party memory card that I did actually still have, but never actually used. And then I fired up the game just to make the save data, and then I brought it with me to the convention.
That's cool.
So for F-Zero, it's not a big deal, because I didn't do too much in that game yet at the time. Although, after I started playing GameCube again this past week, I actually found one of my old memory cards.
Ah, nice.
Which still had a lot of data on it, including my old save data from Sonic Heroes. So there's no reason for me to start all over with Sonic Heroes anymore. Yeah, and then I also played The Simpsons Hit and Run on the GameCube.
I'd like to play that. I never got a chance to.
It's actually
it's a wonderful game.
It's
probably
like the best Simpsons game, honestly.
Well, it's one of the
It
best
looks
ones.
like it.
Or the arcade.
I've only like I've only really
that game.
dabbled
That
with
game and the arcade game are the ones commonly cited as the only decent Simpsons games.
Oh yeah.
But the Simpsons, the Hit and Run was actually a much better game than it had ever any right to be. It was a fun little GTA type of game. Not that much to do really, but it was just fun exploring a very meticulously crafted virtual Springfield.
From what I've seen of it, it looks wonky, but in all the right ways.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. Especially the way you can just kick people.
It is.
They just roll around.
Yeah, that's what. That's
yeah,
exactly
it is
what I've
hilarious.
done.
Plus, almost every character says something absolutely hilarious when you kick them, or you run them over with your car, or just for no reason anyway. Like the game's just full of so many quotes and so many references to stuff that happened in The Simpsons. Like a lot of it is from the seasons from past the turn of the millennium, just because of the era the game came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was she gonna say?
So
What was she gonna say, Drew?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So I'm.
You could actually like murder your colleagues in the power plant.
Well, you could just
one
kick
of
Yes,
them,
you could.
One of them, anyway.
Yeah, and then And then I don't know if any of you ever seen the episode where the Springfield gets divided because they have 2 area codes. So Homer claims ownership of one side, and then the Who makes a guest appearance. The rock
I
band,
remember
the
that
Who.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed several references to that. Like there's 2 billboards. One says you are now leaving the 939 area code, and and then on the other side of the bridge it says you're now leaving 636 area code area. And then underneath the bridge there's a little dirt area surrounded by a river, and there's gold in it. It comes from when Homer tried to drain the river for the other side of Springfield, and they all found gold in the dirt underneath.
I remember that one.
And then beyond all that, I also played some more Sonic Unleashed on Xbox 360. And you remember when I said before that the Werehog levels weren't so bad? Well, I think I'm ready to take that back now.
Yeah.
Because the first few levels were all smooth sailing. So,
that's what I mean.
But the later
ones.
Yeah, then you get to the later. Then you get to the later ones, and the platforming starts to get harder, and then. And then when you mess up and you die in that game, you get sent all the way back to whatever your last checkpoint was, which is probably really far away. And then you have to fight every single battle that you already went through just to get back to that point.
I'll tell you what killed Unleashed for me. It was what absolutely killed Unleashed for me on the 360 version was, remember when you had to do those challenges to get the hot dogs?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You have to beat the whole level in one go.
I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even beat it.
For me, it was that final level, you know, where you're going up against it. I can't remember what it was. It was like Eggman World or something like that.
Eggman Land.
Oh, yes.
Eggman Land. And it went on for about 3/4 of an hour, and you had to do it all without dying. And it was really hard, especially the Werehog bits, because there was lots of
didn't even bother
horrible
with those because they were
platforming.
just impossible.
I tried,
Yeah,
and that's what killed me, killed my enthusiasm. I was like, yep, I'm done with this.
I don't
Yeah, I
even
didn't
remember
bother with those.
I don't even remember attempting those hot dog levels before.
Basically,
But
they're like sort of. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I know what they are. They're like a mission mode. I did investigate them this time. What you're supposed to do is you have to get through the level in one try, and you have to do something like beat a certain number of enemies or get a certain number of rings. I only did one hot dog level so far. Just get 100 rings in the just get 100 rings in the daytime version of Cool Edge, the Holoska level. And I did beat that one after 5 tries.
Well, imagine the level that takes about 3/4 of an hour anyway, and then dying.
Oh
right
yeah,
near
I
the
can't.
end.
Yeah, I can't imagine I'm gonna bother with any of those. I don't have the patience for that.
Because that's what happened to me. I got really far into it, and I was just like, I died. From it was what it is. It's got lots of moments. It's the Werehog levels. It's just got moments with really tricky platforming where like the camera can swing around and you can fling yourself off the edge, and that's what happened.
Yeah, it's the camera angles sometimes, and all that stuff where you have to tiptoe on everything. And
exactly, and I just thought this. I'm done. I enjoyed the game on the casual playthrough. It was good. So I liked it. A bit too many QTEs for my life though.
Yeah, I didn't find the tiptoeing stuff all that bad actually. I kind of like that. What the problem I do have is when you have to jump on platforms, because Werehog Sonic feels awfully heavy. And it's difficult to judge your jumps. So it's not so bad when you have like platforms and handles that you can grab onto. But when you're expected to land your feet on stuff, it's really difficult. And especially because this is the nighttime levels, so things are dark. So I guess I have to readjust the brightness on my TV, but there was a lot of times where I couldn't see a damn thing.
Sounds about right.
But on the other hand, on the other hand, I did notice that Werehog Sonic has a pile driver move, which I don't think I noticed 10 years ago. So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, that's about it. That's about all I was playing. Also, right now I'm playing Also, right now I'm playing Disgaea 5 on my Switch.
Oh yeah,
Because
it's a free
the
trial, yeah.
Yeah, because the full trial game expires tomorrow, and I wasn't able to make much time to play it earlier.
Yeah, that's not the sort of game you could just smash through on a weekend.
Oh no! But I wanted to try it out because I really did like Disgaea 2, which is the only other one I played on the PSP. But it is a hell of a grind, so even if I do try to commit to Disgaea 5, I can't imagine I'm going to get very far very fast.
Basically an elaborate demo when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, that's it for me.
Okay, cool.
All right. Who's left?
Just me and Cherry Terrier. You can go next if you like.
Oh, okay. Pokemon.
Okay.
Predictable.
Yeah, I'm being very predictable.
Every time I see you playing one though, it's always a different one though. I always get.
You just look.
Which one is this? It's like.
Oh yeah,
I'm always puzzled which one you're on because it changes every day.
Oh yeah, I was playing a bit more of White 2 and Crystal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going out again with the whole hopping between different games.
Yeah.
That must be confusing.
Yeah, I'd be confused.
You'd think so, but you've been doing this for a while now, haven't you?
Yeah.
Just working on
at
least 4 different Pokemon games simultaneously.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least in Crystal, I've come out of the ice cave now. Oh god, that was a nightmare when I played it on.
Are you still not the very best?
Oh, I remember that.
Because I mean, by now you should be the very best, like no one ever was, surely.
No, that's when you get a living dex done.
Ah,
Nah, I'm kidding.
That's the dream.
Isn't a living dex just basically a hoard? Because you're not using them; they're just all stored away in Pokeballs. You just trapped all these animals, and it's just like I've got.
That's
all
the worst kind of
I've got
hoarding.
all the animals. I have all of them. They're in storage. They're on a shelf somewhere.
Including ones that we thought were extinct, but we brought back to life.
Yeah.
You know, like the fossils.
Just opens his cupboard in his bedroom, and all his Pokeballs pour out. And it's just like it's not a hoard. It's a living dex.
He just reminded me of the time I made a battery farm in Minecraft. Like I had Bernard Matthews written on the top of it and everything. That was back when the animals were actually persistent. They sort of stopped doing that, didn't they? So now you can do it. They don't hang around. But yeah, I used to give them only one square to move around.
That's not a pair of words I was expecting.
It was a horrible sight for anyone who wanted to visit my world.
Maybe that would be the title for this episode.
Just Bernard Matthews.
Yeah, I made a battery farm. I'm an evil person.
And all the murder in video games.
Yeah.
Sorry, whose train of thought did I ruin?
Right.
Cherry
Terriers, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going through like some of my cartridge games as well, and when I put thankfully my one on gold is still alive. Yeah, and then when I was playing Crystal like the other day, I was like, oh, thank God I can actually get out of the ice cave like quickly, because it was an absolute nightmare when I played it on my gold cartridge.
Yep, I remember having a hard time with ice caves in Pokemon anytime they ever had one. The ice cave from Pokemon Y wasn't much different.
Oh yeah, God. I think I managed to get through that one quite quickly, but they sort of dumbed down the puzzles like as the core games came along. But I think the other puzzle that did do my nut in though was there was that charger bug one in Sun and Moon. It was one where you had to like arrange a whole bunch in a certain like position, like in order to like power up a power generator. Oh, God damn it! That really did my nut in. The charger bug is that bug that looks like a little green bus.
Oh yeah.
It actually sounds like one as well. It goes like that.
Please hold on, the bus is about to move. Is that what it says?
No, that's like the world's longest Pokemon cry.
Yeah.
That's about it, really.
So, oh, nope.
Yep, we're here.
Oh, sorry. I thought everyone cut out.
Hey,
Oh, now we're good.
No, you didn't go anywhere.
So it's just you now, isn't it, ShelvedGamer?
Yeah, okay. So I've been playing more Darius.
Hey.
My collections of those because I've spent enough money on them, so I'm going to get my game time out of them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I've gone through all of like the main games on the arcade collections, and I'm just trying to fill out some other routes now. Because I think when you go down, it's easier. When you go up, it's harder. But I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is. And yeah, I've replayed the original Darius, and I've played Darius 2, and I played a bit more Darius Gaiden, which is easily the best game on both collections. Darius Gaiden,
my favourite Darius game, I think.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, I mean, I think I like Darius 2 the most as aesthetically. I don't know. It's hard to say. Darius Gaiden is very good looking as well. But yeah, they're all good. I've played Disgea, which is just essentially a stripped down version of the original Darius 2. It's really weird. I don't know why they did it. There's no reason. It's not like there's any text, is there?
No.
So Disgea, they made the levels shorter before the boss appears, and they've cut the number of stages in half. And I don't know why. But yeah, no. So I've just been playing those, and I guess the main one I've been playing has been Herzog Zwei, the Sega Ages version.
Nice.
So being that is the final Ages release that we're probably going to see.
For the time being, yeah. Well, at least the last one of that brand, anyway.
Yeah, in that line, yeah.
Looks like a really interesting game.
It is. I haven't played it before, so I was excited to play this one. I'd heard about it. I knew its history and stuff. It's obviously essentially the first RTS. There may have been other RTSs before it, but it's the only one. It
is fast as like the granddaddy of them, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also the first MOBA as well at the same time. And yeah, so essentially, I don't know if you guys know how the game works, but you control like a transforming mech. It's a plane that transforms into a mech, and you can fly around the field, and you basically have to order your troops to take the bases, the forts on the way, with the purview of trying to destroy the main base. You can't damage the main base, only your army can. You can pretty much destroy anything else with your mech really easily, but you can't do that, and only infantry can take buildings. So it's a bit advanced for that way. Yeah. The only thing with the game is it's a little bit clumsy. It's a game of its time. You can't directly control units. You have to give them a vague sort of order. So you have to pick them up, go into the menu, and then go move towards the enemy base, or stay still and don't move. And then when you put them down, they'll enact that order to the best of their ability. And because the path finding is utterly terrible, you'll say, I'll go to the enemy base, and it will essentially try and make a straight line for it, and most of the time they'll just drive off cliffs.
They're just using their sat nav too literally. Just like, I'll just go over this cliff, it'll get me there.
Fortunately, cliffs aren't
good old video game AI.
Yeah, cliffs aren't fatal, but they can't get back up once they fall in. So yeah,
that's pretty fatal.
Yeah, it's annoying. You have to go and pick them back up and put them back on the path. But yeah, it's interesting because you haven't got a lot of fuel in your mech, so you can't just fly around everywhere, or you'll just explode and go back to your main base. So you do kind of have to take those checkpoints, otherwise you won't have the fuel to really make your way to the end of the main base. So, and the enemy AI is a bit dumb, but they're persistent. So they'll get like infatuated with one of your bases, and they will always go for it for ages. They'll just keep respawning and going straight for it again, and then you'll just put loads of like surface to air missiles. So they'll go there, blow up, go back to the base, go there, blow up, repeat. And he might drop a sneaky unit before he blows up. But he's very persistent. If you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. So yeah, it's it's a really fun game. I love the tutorial they added because
they've added so much stuff to this pool, haven't they?
Yeah, because the thing is, I think the game would be a lot more infuriating if I didn't have that tutorial.
Yeah, that makes sense. Game does. If you play the original Mega Drive version, it does just throw you in and expect you to get hit.
Yeah, exactly.
At the very least, have the manual at hand.
Yeah, and you know the manual probably gives you the basic ideas, but it doesn't give you the tutorial will put you in the level and go do this, so you have to actually physically do it rather than just going vaguely off what the manual tells you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really handy and it's just really charming, the tutorial. So there's loads of reference to the other Sega Ages games in there.
And to Sega in general, I think, from what I've seen.
Yeah, I think every single one of the Ages games gets a little reference.
That's cool. So it almost feels like a nod to the whole series being the last one.
Yeah, I think it is because there's a bit where they're talking about you can't just use transmission like other games, and it's just got Outrun there, and it shows you the gear stick from the actual arcade machine pops up on the screen. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I saw that screenshot where it was like, oh, I wish you could change the camera angle, but unfortunately it's just top down. And then they showed the Virtua Racing VR buttons. I was just like, that's cute.
Yeah, it is really good, and like I say, a lot of the in-game quality of life is really good. They got lots of you've got a mini map and you've got your fuel readouts, your health, tooltips, what the commands do. So it's usually a bit vague. It's they're like code names and they're not outwardly obvious what the commands are. So this gives you a little tooltip, and then a bit like Fantasy Star Ages. If you press start, you can see all of the statistics of every single unit, so you can get an idea which ones are actually good. So yeah, I've been enjoying that. I've done every mission. There's about 8 or 10 missions, the maps, but each one has an A to D map where they get progressively harder. So I've done them all on A, and I've done some of them on B, and slowly working my way through that. And yeah, I think that's about all I've been playing, really. I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. I guess we shall move on to the news then. Bong bing bong. A little update on something we talked about last week. So we were talking about the Aleste collection that's coming out for the Switch and PS4, and we'll also have a special edition with a Game Gear Micro with those Aleste games on it as well. And I also mentioned last week that there was a leak that M2 are also developing a new Game Gear Aleste, a new GG Aleste, and that has now been revealed, and it looks incredible. I'm just going to go grab the trailer, because apparently it's going to be on that Game Gear Micro as well. So this is the only Game Gear Micro that's actually got 5 games on it, I think. So yeah, it should actually have 5 games, and 2 of the games are technically Master System games. So it's got that going for it as well. I'll just bring up the trailer because it's kind of insane how good this looks for a Game Gear game, because it's been made to Game Gear spec basically. I'll just put the trailer on the stream so you can see it. Much like what they did with Fantasy Zone 2 Deluxe, where they actually made it to run on actual arcade hardware from the era. They've done the same thing here, but apparently this game is just going to push the Game Gear to its absolute limits. You can kind of see it in this trailer, just how bonkers it looks, and you can see the game just flickering like crazy from just trying to handle all these sprites. The trailer doesn't really show all that much, but as you saw, that's what they add. Oh yeah, hang on, yeah, so really looking forward to this now. I must admit, I kind of want to get this collection just for that alone now, and the fact that all the games that are on this collection I don't own, and they're all very expensive individually. So owning any one of these games would probably cost you a couple £100 now. So this collection seems like it's worth the money. Whether I'd get the Game Gear Micro Edition, as far as I know, it's out of stock on Amazon Japan anyway.
Mm.
So I don't think I'm going to be grabbing that. But I'd at the very least like to have the Switch cartridge with all these games on.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, just hoping it gets some kind of Western release, but it kind of looks like it. Hard to say, really. It depends.
Darius took a while, didn't it?
Yeah, it got here eventually, but that's because I think all the Taito releases, they basically have a publisher over here by the name of, I think they're called Inin, I think they're called. But yeah, they've been publishing all that stuff, like the Bubble for Friends, Darius collection, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with this Aleste one, because I think it is published by M2 themselves, as far as I know, because it's part of their Shot Triggers franchise. Like
Yeah, it is part of the whole Shot Triggers thing, isn't it? Where they remaster a bunch of old shooters. So they're doing the same thing with Toaplan's games as well.
Yeah, they're eventually going to get to all the Toaplan arcade games, which I'm really looking forward to. And as I say, this doesn't have the Mega Drive, Mega CD, or SNES Aleste games, but maybe they'll do a second collection for that. And I think the reason they've done this as like a Sega 8-bit specific collection, like a Game Gear specific collection, is because I think the Game Gear released it. It was either 89 or 1990 in Japan, so it would be its anniversary this year as well. So I guess that's why they've made it, just in conjunction with the whole Game Gear Micro thing, I guess. Yeah. The other thing they've done, I'll just bring up the picture. There's a tweet of it somewhere. Yeah, here we are. Just for the fun of it, this isn't actually an official product that they're going to release, but they've actually made a cartridge of the game that can run on a Game Gear. And they even made a little box art for it. And it's just like, can I have?
Yeah.
Like, I would actually just buy this if I could. Like, if they sold this, I would have it. Like, so
I gotta wonder who they went to get that made in the first place.
Yeah, maybe they just like gutted a random like football game or something and just like burnt it onto a ROM and did whatever they need to do. You know what M2 are like? They seem to know.
Maybe I know that I know there's
for this kind of stuff.
I know there's hobbyist engineers in the Western world who have designed high quality cartridges. In fact, Retrobit is actually working with one of them to make those Toaplan Genesis releases.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, so this Game Gear Micro, it's got 5 games on it now. It's got the Mark III version of Aleste. It's got both the GG Aleste games, like the original ones, and then it's got the European and Brazilian only Power Strike 2, like a sequel to the Mark III game. I think Aleste came out over here as Power Strike 1. I presume it did, otherwise the name Power Strike 2 makes no sense, but yeah.
We did have, in the States, we did have Power Strike 2. I don't know about Power Strike 1.
Yeah. But
also, I actually have a reproduction Master System cartridge of GG Aleste 2.
Oh, really?
Which is the Game Gear. Yeah, it's the Game Gear game, but it's been edited so that it functions in a full screen resolution for a Master System, as well as adapted to fit the Master System color palette.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, because obviously the Game Gear can produce a lot more colors than the Master System and even the Mega Drive. So yeah.
Yeah, we did indeed get the original Power Strike.
Oh, we did. Yeah, I thought we did. Yeah, couldn't remember, but yeah. Just a little update on that. They're making a new Game Gear game in the year 2020. It's almost like some of these announcements, they feel like they've just been making them specifically for me. Like things I would never imagine that I wanted until it happens. Like, oh, do you want a new Game Gear game in 2020? It's like, go on then. Do you want a new Pocky and Rocky? You haven't thought about that for about 10 years, but here it is.
I forgot about the Pocky and Rocky game. That's going to be sweet. But yeah, I'd love to see any. I'd love to see any new game for any retired game system.
Oh yeah, it's always.
And I don't think the Game Gear has had one yet.
Yeah,
maybe
I think
some
this
home.
Might be the first I can think of.
Yeah, maybe some like homebrew proofs of concept, but never a full-on game.
Yeah, there's definitely been some like tech demos and stuff like that by homebrew people, but yeah. So yeah, there's that. Tokyo Game Show's been on, and there's been a few little bits and bobs here and there, including a Sega stream, which didn't really reveal all too much. But they did show one thing off that got me pretty excited, but also pretty confused because we don't really know what it is yet. But I'm just going to pop this on the screen. So they mentioned Virtua Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And in this context of Virtua Fighter X eSports. And that's all they said. They didn't really explain what it is. This trailer is mostly just people doing esportsy things, essentially. But then it's the bit at the end that got me excited. You actually see Akira Yuki, and he appears. As far as I can tell, it's not his Virtua Fighter 5 look. I'm just going to skip to it because you're not interested in all this other stuff. It's just guys going, "Yay, I won a trophy." But yeah, you get this bit at the end with Akira Yuki. Looks like new graphics to me. And the way they've described this makes me think it's like it's either a Virtua Fighter 6 or it's a Virtua Fighter reboot of some kind. It might even be a game just called Virtua Fighter. Like at this point, that's what it sounds like. Because I'll just find the translated tweet about how they described this thing. They basically they counted it as a restart of the franchise or something like that.
So we definitely know it's a game.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It sounds to me like
sounds like it.
Like they're rethinking the franchise, kind of.
Yeah. Virtua Fighter, which was born as the world's first 3D fighting game in 1993, will be restarted in Japan to commemorate the 60th anniversary of Sega's establishment. Stay tuned for future updates.
It does sound like it's a reboot, doesn't it?
It sounds like a new game to me. The fact that they even mentioned Virtua Fighter in any capacity, in any way as this might be a new thing, got me extremely excited. Like, they haven't touched Virtua Fighter for such a long time. It's literally been 10 years, I think, since the last Virtua Fighter game, like Final Showdown, as far as I know.
I think that was... that was 9 or 8 years ago when that came out here on digital storefronts.
And it does feel like this year they have definitely been doing a lot of stuff where it's like, hey, remember Virtua Fighter? Here it is in Gunya Fighter. Here it is on the Astro City Mini. You know, they're making lots of references to it this year, and I feel like they're building up to something. It does feel like they're building up to something. The only thing that worries me is the whole X eSports element
cross
of it.
esports.
Yeah, that makes me think. The one thing it's making me think of is it's making me think of Puyo Puyo eSports, which is basically a smaller game. I mean, it came out over here as Puyo Puyo Champions. It's basically a smaller game that's made squarely for online play. It has some single player content, but it's mostly just there as like a tournament. It's basically a tournament mode.
I would honestly argue that's what the digital release of Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown was.
Yeah,
because that game didn't have anything for single player content besides an arcade mode and a training mode.
True, but at the same time,
maybe
I feel
a score attack mode, but
maybe this is a new game, but it's a smaller game that's made squarely for tournaments. And
that's what
I guess my concern is this going to be some kind of free-to-play thing where you have to earn in-game currency or spend money to unlock characters and stuff like that? Is it going to be that kind of thing? Also, the way they're saying in Japan, restarted in Japan, makes me think, is this something to do with just arcades? Is this like is this to do with their fog gaming thing? Is this what fog gaming, that thing where it's like streaming?
A lot of people did think about fog. A lot of people did think about the fog gaming announcement when they found out about this.
Yeah.
It could very well involve that, but I'm pretty sure this is going to go beyond simply arcades.
I'd like to think so.
The hell was that?
Sorry. I was trying to subtly grab some chocolate and that didn't go well.
That was not subtle.
I think.
Damn it, kids! Kids, you keep your chocolate cravings under wraps for 5 minutes.
I've ripped off the bandage. There you go. Done.
Yeah, I think if it comes as an quote unquote arcade only thing, it will be temporary. Like the original Virtua Fighter 5, it was originally just an arcade game until it got ported to 360 and such.
Yeah.
So it's possible. That used to be how they did fighting games. So
yeah, for sure.
Not to mention, if it is going to be an esports game, you'd have to make sure that people are able to practice the game at home. even
Exactly,
without the
yeah.
fog gaming thing.
Yeah, that's totally true. So yeah, I guess this is a very much a tease. It's an announcement of an announcement in a way. It's not really telling us anything other than that they are acknowledging the existence of Virtua Fighter, which is fine by me because it's maybe one of my favorite Sega franchises. I don't know.
I'm
especially
actually also
the first 2 and 4 and 5.
I'm also I also thought that maybe it might not actually be a new game. It could just be especially designed ports of the old
That's
games,
the
which are
other thing that it could be, but I feel like if this was just a new port of Final Showdown, they would have just said so. Because I mean, they literally put Virtua Fighter 5 in one of the Yakuza games just as a bonus.
maybe,
so
but
I can't see
I
them
don't think
putting
this
a
is going
big
to be.
deal behind just another port of that.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying it's going to be a port of Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown. I mean, I'm sure if this does happen, I'm sure there will be a port of that, but I'm thinking that this is also going to be a port of at least 2 other games. So maybe they would do Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown and then also Virtua Fighter 2 because those are the most popular Virtua Fighter games. It kind of like how Puyo Puyo Champions had a Puyo Puyo 2 and a Puyo Puyo Fever mode.
Yeah,
Because both games do work
true.
very differently.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's a possibility. Obviously, this might not be a brand new game with new mechanics. It might be recycling game mechanics from previous games.
And I think there's going to be very specialized ports which are designed to take advantage of the esports scene in some way, like having a specialized tournament mode that neither game had before.
Yeah, yeah, that's
possible.
Sense.
Yeah.
Okay, this literally just got posted in the Discord, and it's quite a nice little surprise. I think this will make Tom quite happy. They've just announced Teslagrad 2.
I saw this earlier today, actually. On Facebook.
Oh, did you?
Teslagrad 2. I heard about this. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I really like the first one.
Yeah,
Really
the first
good.
one was good. You know, I actually got the first one for free, just because it was mistakenly posted on PlayStation Network for free once, and I managed to grab it before they put up the correct price again.
I got in touch with the devs when they did the Xbox port, because remember it took a really long time to turn up on the Xbox, didn't it?
Did it?
It took ages. It came out on the Xbox like even a year or so after the Wii U version.
Wow.
And
this was old enough to be on the Wii U. Yeah.
By the way, I've got the Wii U version and it plays like arse.
Does it? Oh,
yeah, it's got lots of like loading time issues and
that's disgraceful.
It's a shame as well.
That's
weird.
shocking for a game like that.
I think the Wii U was a hard console to optimize for because
a
few games had that issue, like Mighty Number 9.
It was because even though it had a decent processor for its time, it had to be truncated in order to use some of that processing power to power on the gamepad at all times.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't doing anything substantial with the gamepad.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I imagine they would have had to have done some real trickery to get Breath of the Wild running the way it does on the Wii U, because that runs really well. And
well, that game was... Yeah, that game spent years in development specifically for the Wii U before they also adapted it to the Switch.
Yeah,
and that's why it has the Sheikah slate, because the Sheikah slate was meant to be an in-universe Wii U gamepad.
Okay,
yeah, that's right.
So going back to Teslagrad 2, so far they've just got concept art so far to show off. So it's very early stages. It hasn't really. There's no trailer or anything like that.
Yeah, just a weird moose.
Yeah, weird moose, and there's also this little bit of concept art that shows a little bit of gameplay. Kind of looks like you're playing like a female character in this one, by the looks of it. Because you buy, I don't know, the skirt, I guess.
It could be the character
from male to female.
It could be the character from World to the West, because she was a Teslamancer.
Yes, that's
she
true.
Was,
that's absolutely true.
I'll have to have a look. I haven't seen that. Is that on the Discord?
Yeah,
it's just been linked. Yeah.
What's that game you mentioned? Was that from the same developers?
Yeah, World to the West. It was brilliant. It was a Zelda-like game.
It's and
one of the characters,
essentially, of Teslagrad, isn't it?
In a way. Like you had, I think, 4 characters, and one of them was the Teslamancer, like the same class, if you would, from the little boy was in the first game. Yeah, it could be
I've
her.
never heard of that game before.
I'll tell you what, I bet I'm willing to
Fantastic.
put money on it. I'm willing to put money on it actually being her. I'll tell you why. Because the other character, the Mesmer class, she's got her own game as well. It's kind of like a sort of, it's a strange looking game. It's coming out soon. It's kind of like a revolution thing. Like you're trying to overthrow
yes,
a
I think
government.
I have seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
one of
saw
the
when
characters
they
from
were-
World to the West as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so they're really
So-
making like a nice little universe for this franchise, aren't they? Like, well,
I
building going
adored
on.
the first Teslagrad. It was a really, for anyone who doesn't know, it was a really good Metroid, like a 2D Metroidvania style game by an indie developer called Rain Games.
Yeah.
And the main draw of it was the fact that you were using magnets, like you would use positive and negative, and you'd solve puzzles throughout the entire game based on like manipulating metals through positive and negative. You know, kind of like. It's sort of like how Portal, the whole game revolves around a certain gimmick, and all the puzzles sort of are made like that. It's kind of got that vibe, but it's a Metroidvania style thing, and really good.
Physics-based platformers were big at that time, weren't they?
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was.
It had really satisfying, like punchy, like mechanics as well. Just like sipping
And it had
from thing to
blink.
thing. Yeah, it essentially had blink, didn't it? And the sound
They
effects were
straight
so
up
bloody
called it blink.
satisfying.
Yeah.
Sound effects, weren't they? Just like bzz, as you're going
Yeah.
back and forth between things. I could never beat that game. I got really stuck in it at one point, but it was really fun though. We interviewed the developers, didn't we? Years.
I was going
ago.
to say, thanks for that interview and keeping that rapport. I actually got that Xbox version review copy of that. I did a little piece for it, and that version is fantastic because they added like a whole time attack thing where they added like I think it was like 10 extra puzzle rooms, and they were really good. You had to sort of like race the leaderboards for solving these big rooms. Absolutely brilliant, and I'm really chuffed to see they're going to do another one because that was a long time ago. That game, we're talking
well, I guess World to the
about
West
10
was
years.
between them, so
yeah.
I know it was pretty early on in Lucky Hits history when we did speak with them over that, because that's how we discovered them, wasn't it? At Eurogamer.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's my favourite thing about doing Eurogamer. There we go. Yeah, nearly 7 years ago, blimey. Yeah, that's the best thing about doing those events. We would discover these relatively unknown games, and the developers are right there, ready to chat, and they always are as well. It's not like the AAAs; they're actually there and they want to talk about their games.
Yeah, it's like, oh yay, someone likes our game.
That was the same thing with Ironcast, wasn't it? We didn't know what that was, and we stumbled across this amazing little sort of, how do you describe it? It's a sort of a gem. A match
like
puzzle thing, but that's not really the point of it, is it?
Real-time, well, not real-time, but like turn-based strategy, perhaps.
Exactly. Yeah, it had like the match, the matching gems sort of thing, but that wasn't really the whole point of the game. It was more about resource management and tactical combat, and that's what I'm still playing that to this day. It still winds me up. It's really hard.
Right.
So, yeah.
Another little interesting piece of news. This is actually kind of sort of video game preservation related, and for once, it's not people stealing stuff. This is actually within
stealing.
Well, you know, like the whole Giga Leak thing was essentially someone stole a bunch of data, wasn't it? That's how that stuff came about. You know, as nice as the Giga Leak is, the way it was obtained is, very dubious. But
true.
We have this kind of interesting news from Game Freak, who are saying they are in the process of digitizing all their early Pokemon design documents, which were apparently all on paper. They've got them all in folders. They're in the process of getting them all digitized into. Oh, hang on, I'll get the link up. Yeah, there we go. Apparently it's going to contain all the stuff that they. Basically every sketch, everything they ever did for Pokemon, including when it was first called Capsule Monsters.
Oh, like Capumon.
Capumon, yeah, that was its like initial name, I suppose. But yeah, they've apparently hired a company specialised in scanning all of this content, and so far that doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna see it immediately. It just means they're archiving it. But at the same time, this could lead to, for example, an Art of book, some kind of like, art of Pokemon book where they actually go through the the design process of all these, classic Pokemon designs and stuff like that. How Pikachu
Yeah, I'd
came
love to
about
see
and all
that.
Yeah, it's just really interesting to actually hear a game company actually come out and say, "Hey, we're backing all this stuff up."
Because,
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be all right. Hey, seems
massive
good.
hiccups.
Hopefully it'll be all right. Yep, it's good. Right, okay. Yeah, sorry about that. We dropped out for a little while and I wasn't aware. Yeah, bit of a technical hiccup there. I think OBS just died. But yeah, I think I pretty much wrapped up talking about the whole Pokemon preservation thing. So I guess we'll go on to the next bit of news, which I already spoke about, but I guess I'm going to have to do it again. But yeah. Among Us is very popular. It's incredibly popular. So popular. Really popular. It's really, really popular.
Oh wow, that's popular.
It's
Extra
so popular
popular.
that the developer announced a sequel to this game a couple months ago, but now they're cancelling the sequel to focus on the first game.
What? That's
That-
crazy. I'm just hearing about this.
And I had a bunch of things to say about this, and I don't remember what any of them were.
So yeah, the developer, they literally hang on, I'll just find a quote about it. So back in August, they announced the sequel to Among Us, which is this multiplayer online thing that you can play cross-play on mobile and PC and all that kind of stuff. Apparently, this game came out in 2018, and it just kind of came out, and no one really cared at the time, and it was just kind of there. It was just another game on mobile and Steam. But something must have happened in the last few months that just made it skyrocket in popularity, because it's now the best-selling game on Steam. It's gone from, when it first released, like maybe 10, 20 people were playing it at any one time on Steam. Now it's over 100,000 at least, maybe even more than that. I'm going by, to give you an idea how big this game is. This article I'm reading is on the BBC. That's usually a sign that a game's popular when they're talking about it on the BBC.
Or like all mainstream.
Oh.
or-
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
basically
because
gone
BBC's
mainstream.
got a thing about games. They don't like games.
I mean, yeah, if it's mainstream enough that they've made a little article for it. But yeah, back in
It'll make them
August-
some money.
Back in August, they said the main reason we're shooting for a sequel is because the code base for Among Us 1 is so outdated and not built to support adding so much new content. However, seeing that how many people were enjoying Among Us 1 really makes us want to be able to support the game and take it to the next level. So we've decided to cancel Among Us 2 and instead put all our focus into improving the first game. All the content we had planned for Among Us 2 will instead go into Among Us 1. So that's kind of unprecedented. Usually when a game is super popular, the developers are like, right, we need to make a sequel. We need to cash in on this.
Or the bank
Yeah.
pack.
Unless
Yeah.
you're Capcom
Or
during the
DLC.
Street Fighter 2 days.
Yeah, I guess so, because they pack, or they released new versions of Street Fighter 2 across 5 years. But the difference with that is because obviously it wasn't the days it is now where you can just patch a game. They still had to technically sell that game multiple times, whether it's the console ports or the arcade ROM or even the arcade cabinet had to be repurchased or at the very least re-gutted each time. Whereas with this, they can literally just patch the old game, even though they are saying that it's running on dated code or a dated engine that they would like to improve. But
Yeah, that's weird. If it was
Yeah.
me, if it was me, I'd have pressed on with the sequel if it meant making a engine that's easier to work with,
I mean,
or
the
at
way
least
they could
or
go
at
about
least
this-
adapt the old game to the new engine.
Yeah, maybe
But then
that's
again,
where
I'm not
they'll go.
I'm not a game developer, so I don't know how
wouldn't be
this
surprised
works.
if you end up with patch notes. Game has been completely rebuilt from scratch. It's still the
I think-
first game.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? This has happened before, actually.
Yeah, true.
Remember the mobile version of Sonic 1? How
Yeah.
it used to be
Oh, of
just a
course,
simple emulation of the game,
yeah, of
but then
course.
they this is the mobile version. It used to be a simple emulation, but then at some point they replaced it with the Christian Whitehead version
Yeah,
in a
that was
simple free
literal-
patch.
Yeah, that was a literal patch. Patch notes completely redone. Widescreen,
Or
all this extra
or
stuff.
or maybe not so much of a patch as it was completely replacing everything that made up the game before, but still, it was issued out to people the same way a free patch
Exactly,
was.
yeah. You didn't have to buy the game again. It was just part of it. So I guess from a
Yeah. Which is a great consumer-friendly move, actually.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Whenever it can be
everyone
done.
that's already bought the first game, they don't have to worry about buying a sequel. And I'm sure they would have done anyway. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's quite a refreshing stance to take on your game becoming ridiculously popular. Is just supporting the game that everyone's playing rather than making them all shift over to a sequel. Which
Yeah.
it's a nice way of going about things. I think it's a good.
I think I understand like the logic. I think it's one of those things where if they make a sequel, they risk splitting the player base.
Exactly, yeah. That's totally
That too.
yeah.
That
They
too,
might be in a
yeah.
position right now where they're wondering how long this wave will last, and they might not want to rock the boat yet.
Yeah, because I feel like this year has been
Come to think of it,
waves
that's
of
a lot
games
like
just being like this.
Yeah.
yeah. I just realized this is a lot like what Sega's doing with Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis.
Yeah.
Where you could easily think of that as full-on Phantasy Star Online 3, but they're including it with the Phantasy Star Online 2 launcher, so you could play both games with the same account, and they're both free.
Yeah.
I guess
it's
they
basically a completely different game, but it's still under the PSO2 umbrella, and a lot of stuff crosses over. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff does cross over. So I guess, and especially because of the fact that PSO2 only just finally came out in the West, they were probably a lot more worried about splitting the fan base after the game is actually gaining a lot of steam in the West.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I just feel like this kind of thing's been happening a lot this year, like with Fall Guys as well. I feel like that was the last like viral game, I guess you could call it, like because it was. I think Andrew said earlier before we got while we were cut off that it was free to. It was on PS. What was it? PS
Plus.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that
For
must be-
PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, so that must be how that game kicked off. Because when Fall Guys was kicking
I
off,
was
like,
actually the
oh,
one who said that. I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
this.
Alright,
Yeah.
well, whatever. When Fall Guys was kicking off, I thought, oh, is this free to play or is it really cheap or something like that? And I looked on Steam and was like, oh, it's 20 quid. Huh. Right. I was quite surprised to find out that is like kicked off despite the price, because usually these kind of games kick off because they're free. I don't remember what that other one was called as well, but there was another one this year that had some kind of like anime lady devils or whatever it was called. That was free to play on Steam. That really blew up.
Doki Doki Literature
Nah,
Club.
not that one. I don't know the bloody name of it off the top of my head now. Helltaker?
Oh,
Helltaker. Yes.
Helltaker, is that what it's called? Yeah.
I just remembered that one.
Yeah,
puzzle game.
yeah. Some kind of. Is it a puzzle game? Okay, yeah.
Might
All I
be
know
on
is it's
Something
free to
like
play.
that, yeah.
All I know is it's free to play and it exploded earlier in the year.
I
Yeah,
must have missed that one. I don't know that.
yeah.
I'd seen so much fan art of
That's what I
Helltaker,
mean.
and
When
it actually took me a while to figure out what that actually was.
Yeah,
Oh,
when
right.
you're in like art circles on the internet, these fads become very
Yeah.
abundant. Like, especially when you're like on somewhere like
Especially when you
Newgrounds or
cross
something.
over especially if you cross over into Rule 34.
I was waiting for you to say
Because I guarantee because all three of these games all three of these games we were just talking about have already done that a long time ago.
Yeah, but what I mean
Yeah.
is like on Newgrounds, like if you go on the front page of Newgrounds out now, half of the featured animations are about Among Us and stuff like that. You know, everyone jumps on the bandwagon and makes sure they get all the jokes they can squeeze out of.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and
Popular
I think it missed. I think it passed me by. I didn't see this one.
Yeah.
I really should play these games so I could make some kind of fan art.
So you can cash in. You got to be quick before the next one comes out. Too late.
Because
It's something else
every
now.
time every time a trend comes out, it always catches me off guard. I'm not prepared for these things ever.
I mean, I don't think anyone knows what's going to be the next popular game, but
No.
I mean, no one knows, sure,
You
but
can't really
especially in the
advertise
case-
it, and all of a sudden,
yeah.
Yeah.
And in the case of Among Us, it's not even a new game. I just assumed it was a game that just came out, but nope, it's like 2 years old.
and I still keep thinking of The Last of Us every time I hear that name.
I mean,
So I keep forgetting it's a completely different game that I should probably search for.
I thought, this Helltaker, but looking at it, I thought this was something out of like that indie cartoon called Has Been Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I thought of that at first too. But yeah, the characters look completely different from anyone in Has Been Hotel.
Anyway, moving on to some news, or kind of news, about the Microsoft Xbox Series X. So, I'm sure some of you guys here remember how the Xbox 360's extra memory, how expensive it was to do.
Oh god,
Yeah.
yeah.
that
But most
massive-
of the stuff, like, you remember the wireless card? That was ridiculously priced as well.
the memory unit with
Yeah.
a massive 64 megabytes of storage
Yeah.
of £30.
Yeah.
Good thing I had a 360 model that didn't need one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the terabyte one. Yeah.
So the Xbox Series X, it has a 1 terabyte expansion card that's coming out, and it is
Which isn't that big now, is it? Really?
No.
1 terabyte isn't going to get you super far on next gen games, considering how
No.
big games are this gen, and they're going to get even bigger in
Exactly.
next gen. 1 terabyte isn't going to get you massive. So this expandable storage is $220.
Oh, get out of it!
That's almost as much as the
200
S model.
Yeah. it
How
is.
much capacity did you say the hard drive has?
1
Terabyte.
terabyte.
£200.
1 terabyte. Okay, that's. You know what? I'll say this. That's actually not too far out of the ballpark for a 1 terabyte SSD.
What?
Yeah, I
Except
agree.
this is
Yeah,
literally
no.
just-
Because
this- looking at
I had a
it-
hard drive crash on me too last month, so I actually had to look for new hard drives. So I saw these just recently.
Well, I'm looking on Amazon right now. You can get 1 terabyte for £97. So
Is it an SSD?
Is it an M2?
The thing is, this 1 terabyte thing is not an SSD drive. It is pretty much, it's kind of like a cartridge.
I know it's a
Okay, it's
PCI
like-
4,
Oh, okay.
which is basically next gen PC.
Oh,
sort of
okay. So
spec.
it matches the SSD speed. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's what you're kind of paying for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but still,
Honesty.
come on.
Sort of,
Even-
but at the same
even
time,
taking
it's
that into-
insane.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
taking all that into consideration, that is too much.
It's
Mhm.
way too much.
Yeah,
I think you'd be better off getting some kind of external drive and connecting it to the system because I think
I
those are
presume that's an
compatible.
option.
Oh,
Right.
well, the thing is, with
It's
the
like-
Series S and Series X,
Hmm.
regular USB hard drives and SSDs, they're not fast enough now.
Oh.
So therefore, they are using their proprietary
Ah,
storage units, as it is.
Hmm.
But
that's...
however, you can use USB hard drives to basically put the games onto and then transfer over to the internal storage. But still, that's
Right.
going to be like 10 minutes loading, transferring one game over to the internal
Yeah.
hard drive.
Oof.
So
Right, as I say,
Mhm.
1 terabyte, that ain't gonna get you far. Like,
No.
obviously, there's gonna be loads of games that are really small, like indie games and stuff like that. But like, some of the
Well, games are
especially like the
big now.
AAA games, they're gonna be insanely big.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
you
dear.
know, of course, there is the case of the Xbox Series S, which is the
Mhm.
one that doesn't have a disk drive, so you can't even have most of the data on a disc. Then you have to download the whole game. I
Well-
don't know how it's going to work with like whether there's an option to have 4K textures or not.
Well, the clever thing is, if you got a Series S, of which I have pre-ordered one, just put it out there.
Which you got early.
Some cheeky bugger. It basically downloads a sort of cut down version, so it's not the whole 4K textures and
okay, that's good.
this, that, and the other. So it is a smaller
They
file
have thought
size.
of that, yeah.
Yeah,
that's really
but still,
good,
it's
because the Series S doesn't do 4K, does it? It sort of upscales to 4K, but I think it's like up to 1400.
It goes a little higher than 1080p, and then it artificially upscales it all the way up to 4K. So this isn't native 4K.
Kind of like what the PS4 Pro did, as far as I know. Most of the 4K.
Yeah, the PS4 Pro does that as well.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting, like, I like the proposition of the Xbox Series S, except for the fact that it doesn't have a disc drive. If it had a disc drive, I would have been kind of sold on that system. But the fact that it's digital only, which is fine if you're like doing, like Game Pass, for example, which is becoming more and more of a good deal. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's just this
I feel like
proprietary data, this proprietary memory, essentially memory card being this expensive is just giving me like PSP flashbacks.
Yes.
Like, do you want a
at least
100 megabyte memory card for your PSP? That'll be 10 times more than an SD card, please.
You're probably thinking of the Vita, because the Vita gave you no other recourse. That had a memory card that was made specifically for the PlayStation Vita.
The PSP, you could put like
the PSP, you could get cheaper memory sticks depending on the brand that made them.
you could get like those.
And nowadays you can get memory sticks for Nowadays you can get memory sticks for next to nothing.
Well, yeah.
As well as memory stick adapters for micro SD cards.
Yeah. But that's because they're old. I mean, in the case of
of course that
all the
they
old
are old,
Xbox
sure, but
360 stuff, you could probably get all that stuff really cheap now as well, I presume.
Yeah, of course that's different, because even back when those were new, you had no other option if you wanted any of those things on your Xbox 360.
Yeah, true.
You couldn't just plug in a wireless adapter for a laptop or something.
That's what I really
I don't
liked
even know if they
about
made those with USB at the time.
That's what I really liked about the PlayStation 3 was the fact that you could just get any standard laptop hard drive and put it in there. So the best way to buy a PS3 back in the day was to buy the one with the least memory capacity in it, and then just buy, because the price difference in the PS3s, depending on their memory storage, was ridiculous. Like, way too much more just for a little bit of extra memory. So get the one with the smallest memory, and then just buy a cheap laptop hard drive and put that in it. That's like much
Not
bigger.
to mention,
I think I've got a 2 terabyte in mine. I think.
Not to mention, you probably wouldn't need the memory card adapters on the PS3 anyway.
Yeah,
especially because one of them was compact flash, and I never knew anyone who used compact flash.
Yeah, the original PS3 had way too many different ports in it. I kind of wish most of these systems had some form of SD card slot, though. Kind of like how the Switch has the micro SD slot. I presume the new Xboxes don't have some form of Again, like SD cards are probably not fast enough to run the games, I assume.
Probably. I mean, the PlayStation 4 has no memory SD card slot. I assume the Xbox One doesn't have one either.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's got some USB ports, and that's about it.
So I presume this is going to be another case of come back in 5 years' time, and these memory cards will be like dirt cheap.
Yep. Of course, when it came to the PS3, the memory card slots were only used for transferring media to and from your system, like videos or music.
Yeah.
And consoles today, they don't really do that anymore either. Now they just have streaming services now. They don't even play your music CDs.
No.
Yeah. This is the thing I don't get about this thing of rushing and getting a new console on release day. I don't know why everyone's so frantic about it. I'm not everyone, but I see a lot of people that are like, you just what's the word? Like just going mad about getting a pre-order for a brand new console. What's the point?
It's never been a good idea.
No, that's the thing, and they're even supporting it as well, like really well at the moment. Where I saw a thing today about if you buy Yakuza 7 that's coming out for us soon. In November, if you buy the PS4 version, if you get the PS5, all the way back in, what is it? Is it March? It's coming out next year.
Yeah, they say that if you use the PS4 disc, it will for free update to the PS5 version. So they're already supporting it. Like, so don't rush.
Yeah, and again, like the Xbox, I think they're doing this thing called
Smart delivery.
Smart delivery, where basically a good chunk of new Xbox One games will just be converted to new versions of the games.
I assume what will happen is it will read the disc and then that'll just initiate the like a free upload, download. I can't talk properly. Download, initiate a download. You know, like you're buying the digital version. I assume that's how it will work.
Yeah, I guess so. Or it'll just give you the next gen version of that game. Yeah.
Oh
yeah, but obviously that won't be on the disc, will it? Because so I'm just wondering if it's
that's true.
How that's going to work.
It's like the Xbox One with like the 360 and original Xbox games. It doesn't actually read from the disc. It just downloads.
Yeah, exactly. All it does is it initially reads the disc to say, "Yep, that's it. That's the thing. It's got the license on it," and then it does its thing, doesn't it?
Yeah. So
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope they at least carry over your save data. I can't imagine they wouldn't.
Yeah, I feel like Xbox have been doing all the right things with their next gen system in making it like a smooth transition. Like pretty much all your games are going to work.
Well, this is why I'm going to go for Xbox this time rather than PlayStation. Is that I've got the Game Pass. And basically everything's still on that.
Like if you've got Game
I think
Pass,
you're going for the right thing there.
You picked I feel like if you're not fussed about 4K, you don't have a 4K telly or anything like that. If you're mainly using it for Game Pass, which, as I say, is becoming an absolute bargain, pretty much most of the latest games come out for it. Apparently, even though it's not really a big sell for us personally, I think they've thrown in the EA pass as well as part of it.
They're releasing the sort of light version.
Oh,
so
is that what it is?
Games or anything, but it's still a good library there.
You get FIFA 19, but not FIFA 20. Not that that's going to make a huge difference.
Won't mean anything to me because I'm not going to play FIFA.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like Xbox have been doing all the right things in making the transition from one generation to the next seemingly invisible almost, except for the fact they have to buy a new console. Except for that, they've been
the most consumer friendly on that front lately.
Yeah, for sure.
That's actually why I'm also considering Xbox for the first time in the history of Xbox.
I feel like for me, I would have to already be in that ecosystem to really get the most out of it. Otherwise, I mean, I suppose I could just go out and buy a load of cheap secondhand 360 games and chuck them in there, and then go, oh yeah, well, I can play them now.
True. I mean, I have a decent amount of digital Xbox 360 games, so it probably wouldn't be that much of a
transfer over, I should think.
Yeah. Not to mention Phantasy Star Online 2 is cross-compatible between PC and Xbox.
Yep.
So
that too.
So it's a little bit of a smoother transition for me as well.
Yeah, makes sense.
Probably wouldn't be so much so if I didn't have all those digital games, because they're not likely to go on sale as often as they used to.
Yeah, I suppose not.
Plus a few of the games that I have actually got delisted.
Yeah,
like I actually bought Earthworm Jim HD, which got delisted for some reason, but that
got delisted because it was terrible.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that, Paul.
I guess, but it is backward compatible on Xbox One, so I can still play it.
That's interesting. Yeah. I suppose this is the one thing they've done so far with this expandable storage. That's a little bit yikes.
Yeah.
But I
guess
they had to drop the ball somewhere.
You could always just get like I said, you could always just get a completely different external drive if you need one.
As long as it's
although it might
fast enough.
Although it might not be it might not be cheaper, or it might not be 1 terabyte, but you do have your options.
Yeah, I suppose so. I guess if you just wanted to back up your games, then just a standard hard drive should do, just to back the stuff up and not necessarily play it off that hard drive. Whereas this expandable storage is for if you have filled up your Series X or S and you still have other games you want to play, but you haven't got enough space to actually play them, then yeah, you would need this to play those games at the same time. I think that's the idea anyway.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, there's another on-demand cloud gaming service being revealed.
Yay!
So Amazon have announced Luna, which is another cloud service thing, like yet another one. So this is
Get outta
basically
here,
Amazon.
Amazon.
This is Amazon's attempt at this. So it's going to be around £5 a month. It comes with a controller that looks kind of like a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. Like, it looks almost exactly like it for some reason. They basically just took the mold and changed the buttons slightly. I don't know. It looks almost identical to me.
Well, at least they picked a decent controller to rip off, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose, as long as it's not got the same D-pad anyway. One of its unique features is the fact that you can stream directly to Twitch, kind of like you can on the consoles, which I guess isn't that. But then you can play any supported game from your PC, Mac, smartphone, or even your smart TV by saying, "Alexa, play this game." Apparently, so basically you can use this cloud gaming service to stream from your PC and other stuff, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like you've seen a whole load of games on Twitch, and you say you like what you see, and you haven't played it yet. To say, I'm trying not to say the speaker's right by my microphone.
The notes here say, "Don't let Andrew say the Alexa word, as his Echo Dot is right by his microphone." What do you have to say, Andrew? What you?
Alexa, what's Luna?
According to Wikipedia.
There we go.
Earth's largest
Oh dear.
Alexa.
I knew that's where it would go.
Yeah.
Ask it about Amazon Luna.
Yeah. It's pretty much like Google Stadia, where
Kind of, yeah.
it's pretty much on your PC or any other computer or supported smart TV. But yeah, as I say, if you like a game that you're watching, you can just say, "I want to play that," and it'll play it.
Oh, I see. So that's kind of like what they promised with Stadia, but it hasn't really happened yet. They were like, "Oh, they're going to make it so you could just watch a YouTube video and then just click play and then play that game instantly." That hasn't happened yet, but maybe that's what this one is also kind of promising. Whether it actually happens at launch or not is the thing, I guess.
I think if it was thrown in with your Amazon Prime, obviously you'd have to buy the controller. But if it was thrown in with your Amazon Prime, I wouldn't mind this at all.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually. But it sounds like it's a separate thing.
Yeah,
as far as I can tell. But it works with
Amazon...
Fire TV devices and all that kind of stuff. But I think it is separate from Amazon Prime, which is a shame because you've got Amazon Prime movies and stuff. Amazon would be a nice little bonus.
They're doing a lot of like spin-off subscription services, i.e., like Audible. You have to pay extra for that to read some books.
This is kind of interesting. Sorry, hang on.
Stars Play. That's more American TV that we don't usually get over here, so you have to pay extra for that. What else? Eurosport. You could pay for that. But yeah, it seems like Amazon are not so much letting loose all their Prime services, but
carving them up.
Yeah. And this is quite interesting seeing the Luna Early Access game library includes Panzer Dragoon, as in the remake. That's an interesting thing to see on the launch lineup, isn't it? Just
a very interesting game to see them start with.
Yeah, because I think it just came out on Steam recently, as far as I know.
Today, I think.
Was it today? Oh, okay. That's convenient. It's also going to launch with Resident Evil 7, Control, Plague Tale Innocence, The Surge 2, Yooka-Laylee, Iconoclast, Grid, Abzu, and Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. So that's a handful of games.
One thing I will say though, I like the purple look of the controller.
Oh yeah, I should probably put that on the screen.
It's a nice looking
yeah.
controller. Give it that.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a pro controller, but then it's just got like, I don't know if that's just lighting on the picture low. Like the sort of purple glow, that might just be a fancy picture. I don't know. But yeah, it's another one of these. There's a lot of these going on right now. Stadia hasn't really proven itself to be really worth what they're charging for it yet. Like
Stadia hasn't even proven to be interested in
exactly.
proving
Yeah,
themselves.
I mean it's got that
Bomberman.
It's got that Super Bomberman R exclusive multi battle royale mode thing. That's about the only thing they've announced so far. Where I'm like, oh, that's nice. It's a shame it's only on Stadia.
Shame I literally will not get to play it because it's on Stadia.
Yeah, exactly.
You say that it is a timed exclusive for Stadia, so there could be a.
If they can patch it to the Switch version, that'd be nice. I'm pretty sure we said all this when they announced it, but yeah.
Be nice if they patched it to anything that's not a streaming.
I don't know why it's doing that, but anyway, we should be back live now. Yeah, we should be back now. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. We went again. Obviously, barely anyone's watching this anyway, so I don't think anyone would have noticed. But yeah, and if you're watching this not live, then it really won't make any sense. But yeah,
sort of like jump cutting all over the place.
Just jump cutting everywhere. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all the news. Other than Sega also announced a Yakuza movie.
Oh yeah.
Or another one. Since they did make one years back.
Oh god, I saw the
Aren't
first
these
one.
Aren't
I
these
saw that
games
recently.
already movies? Nah, I'm kidding.
Yeah, they're 10-hour long movies, yeah. And that's just the cutscenes. But yeah, we it's funny actually because me and 5C and Prince, we saw the original film that was made recently, and it was awful.
Yeah,
I have seen the DVD for sale several times at that local convention I talked about earlier,
You
but I
should
never
grab
actually
it.
got around to buying it yet.
You should grab it for the sake of collection, but yeah, if you know, it's an awful film.
I would.
The only
I am
saving
interested in
grace.
seeing it.
Well, I was going to say the only saving grace are all the scenes with Majima, even though some of them don't make any sense. But that's Majima.
I did notice that in the movie they put Majima's eye patch on the wrong eye.
Yeah, and they stuck with that mistake throughout the whole film.
It didn't swap
They were
eyes at least.
consistently wrong. Yeah.
At least it didn't swap eyes. That'd be worse.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
That would have been pretty good actually.
That would have.
because that movie was directed by Takashi Miike, who did Ichi the Killer.
I heard
Yeah,
he's
that guy's
Oh, blimey.
crazy.
I heard he's
So-
also
made
famous
Ichi
for
the
making cheap
Killer,
and
so
quick
yeah.
films, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
basically,
probably.
the film does two things wrong simultaneously. Like it does. The one thing it does is make the mistake of assuming that everyone everyone who's come across this would come across this film has played the game, like the first game, through to completion and knows it inside out. So it doesn't introduce key characters like Haruka and Kiryu just know each other. The way they're introduced is they're just walking along having a casual chat. It's like, oh, okay, these are two people.
Oh, really? That's weird.
The other
That's
thing
like
they
the
do is they
opposite of
have
what
two.
most films about games do.
Yeah, exactly. Like usually it's too far the other way, isn't it? Where they have to, Hollywood makes the decision that no one's even heard of these things before, so we have to really, really explain everyone. Yeah,
It's quite bad anyway.
they never quite get it right, do they? They never get it right where they introduce them sort of quickly, but not too quick, and at the same time, don't bore people that already know. But yeah, this film does two things wrong, because it does that, and then it also adds like all these new characters, and there's too many story arcs going on at the same time. There's about 4, and the film just randomly cuts between them. There's even a bit where, for no reason whatsoever, it's never alluded to and it's never built up to, but there's just this quick scene that me and 5C and Prince, we had to stop and rewind, because it just has Date, who he's just walking along and he runs into a building and just you see some gunshots, and then it never alludes to that again. So it's like, sorry, but what? He's just walking down the street, and then he just suddenly runs in the building, and you see bang, bang, and then that's it. And this is Dante, who would never do that. And it also has two characters that you never even heard of. They're nothing to do with the games, nothing to do with anything, and their whole story arc could have been cut out, and the film would have been just fine. Like, so it's a mess, basically. Like, it was made with very little vision. The only reason I'm going on about it so passionately is because we literally only watched it a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So
It's
the
been
new
out for
one,
years, but
the new film, right,
yeah,
it got announced at TGS that there could be a Yakuza movie
Yeah.
on the way if it's really good, is their wording. But apparently Sega has teamed up with 1212 Entertainment, who have only made scary stories to tell in the dark so far, whatever that is. And
Never heard of it.
Wild Sheep Content, who have yet to make a movie.
can I just say that sounds like the worst thing ever? Because films are so expensive, you don't just make them and see what they're like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just spend about $50 million on this
Oh,
thing
yeah.
just to see if it isn't shit.
Oh,
That
You
happens
don't do
more than
that.
you'd expect.
oh, do you remember when Nightwish tried to do that? And-
Did they?
yes.
They tried to make a movie.
It was
wasn't
bad.
Oh no!
They made a music video with it, didn't they?
Oh, the only saving grace for that film is that it's got a pissing snowman in it.
I got a snowman that pisses on something.
On like
Somehow.
on the sheet music.
It's carrot juice.
Carrot juice.
Carrot
That's a great idea for an advert.
Carrot juice. It comes from the snowman's cock.
And you, my
Is
friend,
that going to
have
be
got
the
a
name of this
podcast.
episode?
Podcast
We
name.
can't use that as the title.
It was this was
Oh, I thought it was Bernard Matthews.
it was also called I think this was back when Imaginarium came out, so it's obviously the same name as the album, which
Oh, good.
but yeah, the album was good, but the movie was not.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused by this because they made it sound like it is a go-ahead thing, but then they also made it sound like it's not. Like they're teaming up with some studios to.
Maybe
think
it was just an
about it.
arrogant. Maybe it was just an arrogant way they put it across. Like,
Yeah. The wording's quite confusing. We had an offer
can't
from the
work it out.
or
Reds.
they're just
Cat.
writing it, and if they don't like the script, they'll just chuck
Oh,
it.
maybe,
yeah,
yeah.
that happens.
Basically,
you know.
they just said they
Sometimes
got an
films
offer,
get-
basically. So the companies that they've teamed up with are basically companies that come along and go, we'll make a film of this. And they're like,
God, it reminds me of that. So, you know that Scott Cawthon who does the Five Nights games.
oh, yeah.
He's been trying to make a Five Nights at Freddy's movie for ages, and one
Oh,
of the
really?
scripts that this is actually really interesting. One of the scripts that was rejected ended up getting recycled. And you remember that stupid banana splits thing
Oh,
that
yes,
came
I heard about this. Yeah. that
recently?
was-
Did you see that?
Mm.
Never
was
heard
like
of it.
Right, well, it was a horror movie made with the banana splits characters, and they're all
Yeah.
animatronic. That is actually one of the rejected scripts from
That
Five
makes
Nights at Freddy's.
so much sense.
Yeah.
Because when I saw that trailer,
That
I was
is
like,
so
it's just
amazing.
Five Nights at Freddy's, but with the
No,
banana
no, it
split.
actually
Are they just cashing
is.
in?
Yeah.
And
No,
it's
that's
like,
what
no,
it is. They've
yeah.
actually got one of the cancelled scripts.
Wow.
And look how bad that looks.
Yakuza shouldn't need to be a bad movie. That's the thing. It's like it's a gangster movie. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't.
It should be hard to do.
It shouldn't be difficult.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No.
I'm sure this movie will at least be a little better than the old one. A lot less niche.
If it
I'm
even
sure.
happens, by the sounds of it, as I say. Cause,
If it even happens, sure.
It's funny. It's really funny this came up actually because do you remember it was only on Friday before I even knew about this that I was talking about how I don't really want a Yakuza film. What I'd really like is a Judgment TV series.
yeah.
I think that would be
That
amazing.
would probably be a better format, to be honest.
Or even just
Because-
that
like
would
a
be
Yakuza
interesting.
series would make
Yeah.
more sense as well because it's
Yeah,
more long
yeah.
form. You could do a lot more with it. Yeah, like maybe like a Netflix series. Something
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that.
That's what I
think
was
that would
thinking.
work.
That's
I
what-
would love it with Judgment because I
Maybe
feel
even
like
an
they could do
anime.
more with
I'd be fine
Judgment.
with
But
an anime.
yeah, anime would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Live
I
action
mean,
could
the
work too.
the game is already starting to go full on anime with Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
It's always
Speaking
been
of
it's
it-
always been a bit anime. Let's be honest.
Speaking of, it'll be interesting to see if they try to recreate that approach with this movie. I kind of
Yeah.
doubt they will, But wouldn't that be funny?
We shall see, because I would love to see a movie come out.
Oh, yeah, so this was actually Nagoshi that said this. He was saying, I've told them it will only proceed if it's really good. So it's a bit, bit of a different arrangement than the standard alliance. I don't think a Yakuza movie is something that needs to be done for the sake of it. So it can only happen if it's going to be good.
So what that says to me is that they're still at the scripting phase. Then.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
You know, it sounds like they've come to Sega and gone, "Hey, can we make this?" And Nagoshi's gone, "Maybe."
Right, we've done this before.
We've done this before. It didn't go well. We don't want that to happen again. Plus, this happens so much with video game movies, specifically Sega ones. Do you remember how many times that there's been announcements, quotation marks, about movies based on games? Like at one point there was a Crazy Taxi movie.
Oh god.
I remember Sega announcing they'd handed out rights to stuff like Streets of Rage and Golden Axe for not only movies but TV shows.
Yeah, they basically went out there and went, "Oh yes, Altered Beast, Streets of Rage, they're all being made into movies." But what they really meant is we've put out the rights so people can pitch to us an idea if they want.
Yeah.
So basically,
and in fact,
it's nothing.
In fact, I think a Crazy Taxi movie was actually pitched to them decades ago.
It was like back
sometime after the original
not long
game.
after the game, yeah, because it was in. I think I read about it in a Dreamcast magazine. Actually, like someone like pitching, or like they were saying, "Oh, the Crazy Taxi film is in development," and it's like it's not. Movies go through so much like development hell. Like even the case with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. That film was in development hell for like almost a decade. It was originally going to be a Sony film, and then they basically sold the rights. Like they didn't want it. I mean, looking at that original design, did you want it? Like they basically sold it to the lowest bidder, and Paramount ended up with it, and in the end actually fixed it. But
knocked it out of the park, I'd say.
Not to mention it kind of pulled Paramount out of the back into the black, because that movie company was actually really suffering. They had almost no hits.
I guess
after the
rights to that film was probably them being a little bit desperate.
Probably. It probably was an easy buck either way.
It was like, oh well, even if the film turns out bad, it's a big franchise. We can probably make some money from this, even if Sony doesn't want to. It would have been pretty surreal if Sony put out a Sonic movie, but totally.
So this will be something we'll have to keep an eye on. But judging by those comments, I'd say that we're only just at the script phase, so we could be waiting a long time to hear something else.
Yeah, I think this is a long one. Yeah, this might be nothing. This might literally be nothing.
Yeah. Oh, what was that?
Who else?
Hello.
Oh yeah, of course. Just saw in the
Vanishing
Discord
Act.
there is actually a Kunio-kun.
Sorry guys, I got cut out again. I'm back.
Alright, that's cool.
It's okay.
I just noticed in the Discord, ShelvedGamer, didn't you say there was like a Kunio-kun drama series?
Oh god.
Yes, there was. Yeah, there's only one episode's been subtitled in English on YouTube, but there's I think it's like 12 episodes or something, a TV show based on the Renegade part of it.
Oh, nice. I might have to watch this later.
That's pretty cool.
It's hilarious.
That's the kind of thing I want. Do they go bath and drop money?
There's a lot of like little nods in there. Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to have to give that a watch later.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing looking at that thumbnail, that's the kind of thing I'd like to see from you. I mean, that looks super low budget, but like, judging from a thumbnail.
Oh, I was going to say as well, that's the one good thing in that really terrible Yakuza movie is when the only 2 times in the film does he actually do the heat action blue like flame. It's hilarious. I wish more video games would be like that, like really sort of camp and over the top.
I wish the film
video game stuff.
Do more of that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a brilliant bit where he gets the Stamina X in the middle of battle, drinks it, and then he gets the red heat flame.
That tells you that film was made by someone that did love the games, maybe didn't.
Yeah, but I
really
just wish there
have
was more of
a,
that, you know?
Yeah, I get what you mean, and also maybe explain some of the stuff a bit better instead of just assuming. I feel like that film was probably made for people that are already fans of the.
That's the thing. It was made
Yeah.
for people that didn't need an introduction to the characters and just wanted to see it done in a wacky, over the top way. Really.
Yeah, I might have to give that a watch just to see.
I'll definitely watch it for prosperity's sake. But I warn you, it's also really long as well. Like, I think it goes on for nearly 2 hours.
Yeah, that's why I said earlier that was kind of a niche movie.
It is, yeah.
I felt the same way about the Ace Attorney film as well.
I remember when we watched that.
I never saw that.
Yeah,
I
feel
forgot
like
there
that-
was an
that-
Ace Attorney film.
It was good. Don't get me wrong, but again, I feel like that film was made for fans. Because like a lot of it kind of goes over your head if you don't really know the IP already, in a way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
There's the dog again.
What's that? A dog?
Yeah,
It's a
next
dog.
doors.
It's a doggo.
And with that, I think we're done with the news. I think that's everything. Yeah.
Cool.
I think we should.
I think it might be a good time to wrap up in general because it's
Yeah.
it's been a while.
Yeah. That was good.
How long have we been talking?
2.5 hours.
A long time.
At least.
Wrong time.
Not counting the time that we got cut off twice, but yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Let's do that again.
Right, so this was the 90th Lucky Hit podcast. Join us next week at some point. Actually, I'm trying to think. When are we going away?
So technically, it's if you really think about it, it's just 92, isn't it? Because we did a pilot and a vidcast.
That's true, actually. Yeah,
But-
it's the 92nd
this is-
podcast. We've got 8 to go.
Well, no, I mean it's still officially 90 of the numbered series, but yeah, I just thought I'd.
No,
I'd
that
throw
is a
some
really good
semantics
point.
in
The
there.
that vidcast we did in, what was it, Halloween 2016?
Oh, it was a few
Oh,
years
yeah.
back now. Yeah,
2017? One of those years. That
I think it
was
was
like,
7.
That was like 4 hours long or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember.
I think that's the longest on record. So
I think that's the longest time we've filmed because we did stuff after that, and we were also filming a whole bunch of stuff. That was one of our busiest Halloween.
Yeah, we did that pumpkin that night as well. Didn't
Yeah, did that ridiculous music video.
we? Yeah.
Ridiculously awesome.
Oh, it was fun times. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Speaking of Halloween, we're probably considering doing some Halloween related streams at the end of the
yeah.
month as well. So look forward to that.
Indeed.
I'm already looking forward to it.
What was film some
Hey.
things down our cellar?
Sorry.
Film spooky things down our cellar.
Oh,
We've got a spooky cellar.
Yeah.
wow, I'll have to see
Well,
that.
it would be spooky if it wasn't for the boxes.
Yeah, that's true.
Spooky cardboard boxes everywhere. Ooh.
Spiders.
There is a lot of spiders down there. I will say that.
It's spooky for Murry Curry then.
Yes.
Very spooky indeed. we had to put some stuff away in our garage the other day, and Fancy and Prince was like, "Oh, don't be so stupid!" And there were 2 massive ones run straight towards me as soon as I got in there.
And they
Oh my
ate your
God.
hand off.
Well, they had HB bars. I'll give you that. There's something about them. They run for me. It's just like, oh, watch this,
Oh, it's
guys.
him.
This
I
guy
can
runs
smell
off.
That and badgers. If it's not spiders,
Yeah.
it's badgers.
Oh, don't even get me
They just
started
don't
on
like you.
badgers. Just animals in general.
Animals just don't like you.
I give off some kind of pheromone that just says "attack me."
Think your mouth, eh?
Right, I've been the Gagaman.
Venturi Terrier.
I've been Murry's Curious.
I've ShelvedGamer.
I've been under. That's my neighbour's dog again.
Distant dog, it's the distant dog.
Oh, Jesus!
What was that? How did you catch that?
That was Bastard the dog.
It's distant dog. You always
Oh,
hear
yes.
him, but you never see him, and you never get to
Straight
pet him
from the
because-
streets of Yokosuka.
Yep.
And who else?
Did I go yet?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. I've been Elk, dude.
Elk too.
Still playing, and I was
Okay.
playing Disgea 5 this entire time.
It's the dude.
You're not the only one. I've been on Morrowind.
No, because I get the pop up from Steam saying Murry Curry's playing.
I could never get away with it. Do you know, I nearly hit 1,000 hours on the Steam version, but that's just the Steam version.
Mm.
I dread to think what the actual count of my Morrowind hours is. It's my second life. It's much better than the first. And on
Right.
that note,
We'll see you later.
bye.
Bye.
Oh, good night.
Go away and never come back.
Fine. Sod you. Are we,
You all right there?
are we clear? I didn't know we were playing music. Am I ruining it?
You might be a
You
bit.
muted us, right?
I can't. I can't mute both. I can only mute me and Stacey.
I'll stop talking then.
I hope you like that music, guys.
Bark, bark.